are you, Miller and Moulton, on this 8th of May? Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We're streaming at foxsportsfm.com, and we are broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch channels. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing good. Nice night last night. Great morning this morning. Nice, cool, crisp. Probably maybe one of our last cool mornings. We'll get beautiful full moon when Frank and I went for our stroll this morning. Now I'm feeling great.
I guess there's a chance of a nice, crisp Monday morning because I guess we're getting a storm on Sunday, which is going to cool things down. So I think there's a chance for another one of these coming up Sunday night into Monday morning. But Mother's Day looks as if it's going to be a little wet around these parts. Don't know what everybody's plans are with and for Mom, but may want to take that into consideration if you haven't been paying attention to it.
My wife has simplified Mother's Day very much for this house. She wants Wally's Deli delivered to her in bed for breakfast, which I can handle, and then she wants us to leave.
Is there a set period of time?
Mother's Day.
I understand, but a day is 24 hours. So in theory, I mean, is this a 10 to 12 hour disappearance she wants, or is she willing to settle for 4 to 6?
It's 4 to 8. I mean, I think she'd prefer 8, but I don't know if that's possible.
Right.
She wants to stay in bed the entire day. I have a little plan set up that she doesn't know about. My daughter and I are going to have a little fun with it. But we're leaving. We're going to drive down to the Rock and take. Our plan was to take my mom out to brunch or go somewhere, but the fact is it's going to be lousy on Mother's Day, and sitting outside doesn't look as if it's going to be a possibility, and that kind of stinks. And apparently, the further south you go on Sunday, the chances for more rain. What I was looking at is that we're going to get some. I mean, you even will get less, and Naples will get more, and Marco will get even more, the way that they're tracking it right now. But we all know that's weather, and they get it wrong most of the time.
I was very concerned a few moments ago. My wife's on the treadmill, which, of course, I don't understand because she's about the size of my left thigh. But she's on the treadmill, and she's got Wink News this morning on because she loves Matt Devitt. I think Matt Devitt's on her all-time top 5. I do. She's a big fan.
I'm a fan of the whole thing. She can have Matt Devitt, and I'm a big fan of the Sabrina Katz traffic girl.
Yes, between the two of you.
We think she's a superstar, for the record. You and I both have sat here and go, that young lady could be in a much bigger market than this.
No doubt about it.
And we don't ever hear her. Her delivery, the way she presents herself, both of them present themselves as very nice, likable people. And that's the object of the game in television.
They could take this weather and traffic act and they could go right to a big market.
Right,
Absolutely, the both of them.
Yep.
So my wife's a big fan of Matt Devitt because he is always smiling and he likes animals. He's always got something during his morning, is something having to do with animals. So she's all in. Okay. So it's on the TV, and I'm kind of paying attention, but not really. I really just want quiet. I just want to be left alone. And all of a sudden I looked up, and he had an American model map, and then he had a European model map.
Oh, no.
And I immediately panicked. Immediately. Then it turns out it was just about rainfall. But, oh, my goodness, it took me a minute. Let me tell you, Mark, it's like that moment in the morning where you sober up, even when you're not hungover. But, you wake up, there's a little bit of grogginess, whatever. You're just, and then
it's
all
the
of a
cold
sudden,
water to the face.
Happens. Yeah, your foot hits the cold tile. You bump into something and you hurt your funny bone. It's that moment when you go, okay, I'm up now. And let me tell you, all of a sudden I looked at the screen and I thought it said American model, but I wasn't quite paying attention. And then I saw it clear as day. Next map was European model. I went, okay, I'm up. What the heck is this? What are we talking about? And apparently, Mark, it was just about rainfall.
But there's a pro. He knows that you might not care about the weather, but if you see European model, You're checking that television out.
I needed to lay down. Honestly, I needed to get my bearings about me. And of course, Mark, the European model has much more rain than the American model.
Well,
so
we could use it. Our fire chances are very high right now as we're getting into lightning season. The golf courses are all dry. We could use the rain. It's been a very dry winter, even by our standards. So I would rather it not be on Mother's Day, but beggars can't be choosers. So we move on. And Miller and Moulton just broke down the weather. This is where we're at. European model is scary.
I think we just did a public service for everybody. First off, I think most people are not doing nearly as much planning as normal. I think we're all just trying, 24/7, one day at a time. We're much more in a 1 to 2 day mode than I think we've ever been. So I don't know if people are even looking that far ahead to Sunday weather-wise. One, so I think we did a service there. And two, hey, if they were watching TV and they weren't paying attention in the coming hours or tomorrow and they saw American model, European model, they might freak out too. So we kind of gave everybody a heads up here. Going to rain on Sunday, and the weather people are already digging pretty deep into their repertoire here. Already working on the tool belt. It's like enough already. Go back to the hammer. That's it. Hammer and nails. That's it. Don't get crazy here. No reason to break out the drill and the saws and what have you. It's rainfall. Take a deep breath.
Gotcha. You said 1 day at a time, and all that talk of tools made me think is that most of us are dressing like Snyder from 1 day at a time during this pandemic.
My wife looks very nice from the waist up because she's doing the telehealth thing. And the pants have been interesting. Sometimes they're normal. Sometimes they're like glorified sweats. But, once again, it's like being on television. You can't really tell. However, she is working in slippers, and she's very happy about that.
Who wouldn't be? I don't know. I can't tell you the last time I wore a shoe that wasn't a golf shoe.
So, one of the many things that's going on right now, everyone's wardrobe and how much they're probably liking dressing down the way they are. This is working for them.
I saw that our friend Pat Donovan in Tampa took in a restaurant yesterday, and he said, yeah, this is the first time I've put on pants and a polo in 2 months. He's not even close. Didn't even know I had these anymore.
My mother called me the other day just to tell me that she put on a brown pair of pants. That truly was the purpose of the phone call.
Well, I figured out a game I play around the house. And, is that, Mom's bored though, David. That's probably why.
Yeah, she went out. She did one of those, agreed with a friend of hers. They'd go meet in the parking lot of a fast food place. And there they were sitting side by side in the parking lots with the windows rolled down, sitting each in their own cars, talking to one another. They did that kind of lunch date.
All right.
That I've seen a little bit of driving around, especially on a Sunday morning. I saw a lot of that last Sunday, the brunches, people kind of, the restaurants weren't open yet. And all of a sudden you'd see 2 cars side by side in the parking lot. And then you go down 5 more spots and see another 2 cars.
Well, I play this game in the house that I didn't even realize I was playing yesterday, because after the show, my routine is walk the dog, make the smoothie, and the daughter's finishing up her computer work. And then we have snack time around 10:30. And
by the way, is that a thing for her, or is that we have snack time?
No, all her.
Oh, okay.
All her. I make her snack, and I do the dishes that are laying around last night, the morning. Gotcha. And typically the 2 main dishes that are being done at that time are the wine glasses from the night before. I put them in the dish rack because I'm not someone who dries dishes. I let them air dry. And then around lunchtime, I will then put those dishes away. And it's the game that I play, David, in that I wash the wine glasses, I put the wine glasses away, and I act like I'm not going to get them back out the moment my wife walks in the door.
Right. I mean, you pretend that we're not going to use these in 6 hours.
Right. I mean, you could just set them right there. You just flip them over. And in fact, we should move the rack for the wine glasses in the kitchen.
I'm surprised you even put them away.
It makes no sense.
Right. Leave them in the little place where they're drying. They're right there. They're at waist level. No sense having to reach for them. You could potentially break them. putting them away and taking them back out. Might as well leave them right there.
And as you know, where my little bar room is, it's not anywhere near the kitchen. So I actually have to travel to another room to get glasses. Basically it's so I'm getting my steps, David. That's really, I all boil this down to, I get to walk another 20, 30 feet a day.
See, to me, it's like once you become an adult and you make your bed. Why are you making your bed?
Every morning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because it looks nice. Especially when you get those sheets. Oh, telling you, our bed looks military-esque every day. Love getting into a made bed. That could be a poll question. Is making your bed worth it? Because I say absolutely. I got two solid questions for you. One's making the bed. The other one was the big conversation that came up in our house last night.
Okay.
Who would you rather be, Derek Jeter or Tom Brady?
Wow. Who originated this conversation?
My wife.
Well, she's a big fan of the one
and does not
a fan of the other.
Well, I showed her, and we're going to play it this morning, the 1-minute clip of Peyton Manning in the presser with Tiger, Phil, Tom, and Peyton. And Peyton roasted Brady for 60 seconds. Terrific A material. But I had to explain some of it to my wife because he kind of messes with Brady about the whole in the park workout where he got it. So if you don't know that part, you had to be a little bit of a background there. So I said, he's staying at Renton Jeter's house, and that's how. And she goes, "Well, who would you rather be, Brady or Jeter?" And I asked a couple people, and I got multiple answers. And I said, I told her, I said, "You're not going to like my answer," and she said, "Well, then change your answer." And I said, "Well, my answer's always been Jeter, but you're not going to like the reason why." And she said,
"Did you tell her?"
"Oh, absolutely."
Okay.
We'd already had a couple bottles of wine. I had nothing to lose at that point.
All right.
But I just said, these are first ballot Hall of Fame guys, terrific athletes, some of the best at their position that have ever played the game.
Right. 6 championships for one, 5 for the other. They're both going to be Hall of Famers. Jeter's already been elected. He just hasn't been formally inducted because the ceremony's been postponed till 2021.
But it's not his playing career that would make me want to be Derek Jeter. It is his dating career that would make me want to be Derek Jeter.
Legendary.
It's an all-timer.
Legendary
George
career.
Clooney looks at that. DiCaprio looks at that and goes, "Jeets, I got to hand it to you. It's pretty good."
Yeah, Jeter looks at DiCaprio and goes, "Man, you just seem desperate." All right, that's what Jeter gives DiCaprio. You're trying too hard. That's what Jeets says to D
to Leo
over there.
To Leo.
Yeah. So that's an interesting question.
I'm sure there's people out there that'll give me other names but it's it's just an either or.
The reason why I think that the golf match is going to be well received is unlike when Phil and Tiger played, and that was just a big cash grab. This one, they're reportedly not making a penny.
Yeah, it's all going to COVID.
Right, and that they're also, during the broadcast, they can opportunity to raise more money and that sort of deal. So since this is reportedly, and Turner has got the rights to it, and their media company is making a contribution, and I think it's going to be 7 figures. And so in this day and age, like Mark, to start to get into a sports conversation here for a second, one of the things that's going to come up in the next couple of weeks, we brought it up 3 weeks ago, is there's a real chasm between Major League Baseball and their players. I mean, it's simmering. Everybody's been focused on football, A, because it's the 800-pound gorilla, and B, because they've had real stuff going on leading up to the draft last night, the schedule, which we'll get to in a moment. But there is a real issue right now that is threatening the Major League Baseball season that is not COVID-19. It's the owners have said to the players, guys, without fans, you know how much money we're going to lose? I mean, this is an $11 billion pie. We're going to lose 30% of it. And right now, do you know who takes the loss? us. So you're not going to get paid your full salary. And players are like, I don't think you've read the fine print on the contracts. And that little agreement that we had a month ago when we shook hands, yeah, we agreed to get paid in full if we play. Whatever prorate it is, if we play 80 games, I'm scheduled to make 10 million, I'll make 5 and do the math accordingly. And the owners are like, no. We're going to have to knock that down. And, we can't pay you full. And the players are like, yeah, I don't think you're hearing me. We're not giving back a penny.
This will bode incredibly badly for the players, David.
Well, I thought so too. I just want to throw one thing out at you and then see if it changes your answer. The players are the ones taking the risk with their health. No matter how small the odds.
Yes, they are. But, David, I think if we just said, text in how much money you're losing a week because of COVID.
Oh,
okay?
I know.
You, me, all of our listeners.
Everybody.
And that's why we don't really make a big deal out of it. We make an average living. We're no different than most of our listeners. It's just the fact of the matter. People think we make more doing a radio show than we do. We don't. But we make an average living. We're fine. This has hurt us. It's hurt our company. It's hurt you. It's hurt the other guy listening. It's hurt the guy in the car next to you. So when a guy who's going to make $5 million is bitching about not making his full $5 million, David, no matter what the risk is, we're all, Mike Griffin on our show yesterday may have given one of the more eloquent answers about COVID-19 and risk that I've heard anybody say about sports on any show. Thought he was, just that we assume risk, period. And I thought he made a very solid point. And all of us are assuming some sort of a risk when we have to start going back to work in one way, shape, or form. So that's why, David, with these things, even though we all work for the man, it is where I know they're taking the risk. And I don't think I think if the players hold the line, and this is why we don't have baseball, or this becomes a much more public battle, the players will not win.
Well, it will be interesting because if you're the owners, if the players keep saying no, how hard line are you going to be? I mean, we're talking serious coin here. Serious coin. And the owners are the ones, in theory, who are losing all of it. If we don't have fans, that's going, because baseball they have revenue sharing amongst clubs, but they do not have a salary cap and revenue sharing with the players. I mean, baseball is the last bastion of true capitalism in major North American sports. The players, you negotiate what you can negotiate. And then that's where you get your money. And, some of the money goes into pensions and this, that, and the other thing, but not to get too complicated. It's simmering right now. No one's really paying attention because baseball hasn't officially announced their plan. But Mark, you wait, give it a week to 10 days. This is going to become a major sports radio topic, especially since there will be no football to talk about. And we will actually start turning our attention to the other sports and when are they starting and all that. But the players are, what part of no don't you understand? And the owners are like, we're not taking this hit all by ourselves. They're as far apart as they could be on this. And no one's given an inch reportedly in a month.
I go back to, it's at least a month ago now, whenever the British health secretary made his comments about Premier League players taking a pay cut, and Rooney came out very angrily about it because they had already been working with the owners on it. I mean, that's the biggest league in the world. I know we don't care about results and things like that, but the biggest, most well-paid league in the world immediately was already talking with the league and the players union were talking from the beginning of pay cuts for the players. They were working on it together. And that's why Rooney got so pissed, because he's like, wait a minute, what are you running your yap for up there when you have no idea what's going on within our business? We're talking about this. Don't make this a public forum. This is being worked on. And what baseball has done is kept it quiet. It has been a private discussion. But it's not going anywhere.
It's no, because there's been no give on either side, and there's a huge canyon in between the two. And unless one side's going to give, and it is, Mark, we have talked about this for damn near all of our 13 years on the radio together, in which even though most of our audience and most of society are the players, the audience, the sports fan, overwhelmingly sides with the owners / the man. They do. But on this issue, it's interesting. Is it the cost of doing business? If the players look at the owners and go, hey, with the reward comes the risk. All right. And this is the cost of doing business. And if the players look at the owners and go, come on, guys. All right. We have an idea how much money you make. I mean, come on now. Remember it's billionaires against millionaires. We're the millionaires. Why should we take the hit along with you? This is the cost of doing business. All right. You assume the risk. And we're assuming the risk, by the way, by playing. We could get sick.
We can't ever compare this to the real world because it's not. But what's happened in the real world, all these restaurants are reopening. Not all of them are opening with the same staff they had before. Exactly. Restaurant owners have had to make horrible decisions with personnel.
Yep.
Because they can't keep all of them. If we're running at 25% capacity, we can't have 100% of staff. Or we can't have 100% of staff working full time. I have another friend who owns a business. They were obviously set back in a big way. He has crews. Well, he said, all right, we're going to start by going to 4 days. And then at some point, we're going to go to 3 days. Because you're going to make more in 3 days than you would in unemployment. And we can keep you on. So the owners had to give, and the workers had to give. I don't see how the players can hold the line and win this, David. I don't.
Will be an interesting battle of public opinion, which I think will be coming up during the latter half of May. Just want to throw that out there. You can think about it. We going to go with that Jeter Brady poll question?
We can work it out during the break.
I like it.
Fine by me. I mean, if I don't have to put any work into a poll question and my wife can do it, that's great stuff. Put her on the payroll.
Well, listen.
She can make $28 today as well.
It's not the first time that she's come up with a poll question recently.
No, she's been rock solid.
Yeah.
I mean, she had the Pop-Tart pizza roll question. I mean, which may have spurred our poll questions into the next level.
That started our run here with good response to the poll questions was Pop-Tarts pizza rolls. I mean, Mark, it's kind of like a slump, we were kind of in a 1 for 22 rut, and she came off the bench, gave us a pinch hit single to start a rally, and we've been going strong ever since.
I'm glad you went baseball reference, David, because all I'm thinking is she's far too good looking to be considered a slump buster. And those people in hockey know exactly what I'm talking about.
No. She's a prize prospect call-up is what she is. She's been hanging out, all right, in the minors working her way up. But I guess it's time, her time has arrived, and she's in the show now. And it looks like she's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Miller and Moulton. So we'll finalize the poll question, and we'll get to the starting five, in which we'll mention the NFL schedules for the first time.
David, you just had to be so happy last night. Was it too late for you?
No, never too late. They could have announced it at 11 o'clock Eastern. I would have stayed up. Now, the fact that the NFL Network had a 4-hour show and ESPN had a 3-hour show, even I thought that was a bit too much. I mean, NFL Network looked at ESPN and said, hold our beer. We're going 4 hours on a schedule release in which we already knew the opponents. All we did was attach dates to them. 4 hours and 3 hours. Meanwhile, the other sports can't even hold their drafts. All right. And that's what the NFL's got going right now.
Yeah. And we've got Rich Eisen with a beard from his house.
Right. With Al Michaels, Joe Buck, and Jim Nantz all on at the same time, with one guy going, I like our schedule the best. Well, I got to admit, I like ours. Oh, guys, I don't know about you, but I do play-by-play on the #1 show in television. I like ours. So that was entertaining.
Didn't see a minute of any of it.
Hello, friends.
I'm glad you did. We turned on the NFL Network for a while, in which Dion was interviewing Thielen from
What's he thinking, by the way, with the beard?
You and my wife are on the same page. My wife went, "Who is that?" I said, "It's Deion Sanders." She went, "Why?"
The beard is all gray.
Oh, and it's thick.
It's thick. It's all gray, and it makes Deion look 30 years old.
He's the Black Santa.
I mean, Deion
he's the Black Santa. No. That's a Santa Claus beard, man. It's a great Santa Claus beard. Yeah. But you are right. Deion's a good-looking dude, and he looks 80. Looking. Right. I think that's
40.
Right, and he's 50. Right. I mean, I think we're about because I know 50. I saw him play in college when I was in college, so we're about the same age. He looks 10 years younger than I do, and I don't look old for my age, and he looks 80 with that beard.
He does. He looks like he could be a Santa in a mall.
Yes.
With that. He really does. What is he thinking?
Ho, ho, ho.
Man. He went from prime time to granddad. Boom. Just like that. All he did was grow a beard. Miller and Moulton. Starting five is next. Hope your week has gone, well, okay by 2020 standards. And let's get to the weekend and Mother's Day together, shall we? Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Here in Southwest Florida, we've seen devastation from storms.
I think it's the type of light David has there. Someone says that you need sunscreen.
The funny thing is that this light is 2 feet further back than the other light. Please consider helping by making a donation at floridacommunity.com, a project of the Southwest Florida Community Foundation and Fox Sports Radio.
Blue Emu deep penetrating
and you won't stink.
Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink. Aaron Walker here. Super
all right, I can go Jeter.
Grand opening of the
Brady. Yeah, that's a
giant used car outlet at Naples Nissan. Finally, you can test drive hundreds of previously loved cars, trucks, and SUVs all in one spot. Toyota, Ford, Chevy, Mazda, you name it, we got it. And hey, what's the best part about outlet shopping? That's right, you save tons of money. Over 300 vehicles, wholesale priced, and all backed by our exclusive unlimited mile lifetime warranty. That's a warranty that lasts forever, and that's accepted anywhere in the USA. We've got at least 100 cars you could drive home right now for less than $200 a month. That's probably less than your cell phone bill. Need financing? We got you covered there too. Come see us at the all-new giant used car outlet at Naples Nissan right here on Pine Ridge Road. That's exit 107 off I-75 or visit naplesnissan.com. All offers with approved credit.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma. That's not
hard hitting. Who would you rather be? Tom Brady, Derek Jeter. There it is. That is hardcore, hard-hitting questions.
Between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us.
Oh, the handshake made a big run, David, and just finished behind. I'm done with all of it.
Wow, I'm done with all of it.
Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
And okay music, I gotcha, but we ain't flattening a curve. Those days have ended. With what's going on here, there's no more flattening. We either have to have herd immunity or nothing, because the way we're opening up, we're not shutting down again. So I don't know what to tell you.
Tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have
we in certain parts of the country it had been flattened. In most major cities it had not, and we just decided this is as long as we could wait.
Yep.
Going forward.
We're going herd immunity now. It's the only thing we can do. And that's why, to me, why not play sports? If that's what we've actually decided upon, then just go.
The softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Cortec wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable.
And I don't know if it's right. Okay, music. I'm certainly not an authority. I'm not trying to play like every other radio show host or social internet person that knows all the answers. I just try to treat politics and this type of stuff now like the same way I treat a football game. I just try to forecast what I've seen and where we're going next. We're going towards herd immunity because we're not going to shut the economy down like we did again. It's not happening.
Turns out some of the best cataract surgeons in the world are right here in our area at Community Eye Center.
We really care about improving people's lives by improving their vision.
Dr. Spalding and Dr. Spatafor really do care about helping people, and we're so glad they helped us.
They're excited. We share in that excitement. It makes us feel great about what we do.
Hi, this is Dr. Scheibel from Community Eye Center. My partner, Dr. Spatafor, and I want to remind everybody, don't be a spreader.
Got a pretty cool graph here, David, on strength of schedule.
Okay.
That Warren Sharp, that Sharp football guy, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
He forecasted the strength of schedule based on Vegas's forecasted win totals for 2020 as opposed to doing last year's number.
Right.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"28 before 7 o'clock, Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com, which is also where you can go and vote. I believe this is it this weekend. Then it's over. It's down to The Sopranos and Breaking Bad for the most binge-worthy television show of all time. Go to foxsportsfm.com and vote. Our binge TV bracket busters brought to you by Brooks Gourmet Burgers, Jimmy P's Chard, France Eye Care, and Kobe Cooling. And hopefully, if you haven't signed up already, you will do so either today or throughout the weekend to the Miller and Moulton Twitch and YouTube channels. Some exclusive content, and certainly on Twitch during the commercial breaks, we are live conversing with those that want to. And so some exclusive content, and it's entertaining and interactive. The Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. 479-5551 is how you can chime into the show also via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, 479-5551. And now, without further ado, time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting Five. Fox Sports Radio and foxsportsfm.com.
I'm sure we will talk in greater detail about this throughout the show, but the new phone books are here. The new phone books are here. The NFL schedule got released last night, although stuff leaked throughout the afternoon into the early evening. We were all given a bad piece of information by the professor. It was John Clayton who had reported over 24 hours ago that week 1 would be dominated by non-conference games, that the first 4 weeks of the season would be all non-conference games. So that this way, if the season starts late, those are the games that get lopped off the top, and the games that are playoff impactful will still count. It's not what happened at all. The NFL basically went with as many damn division games as they could put together. However, the season's going to kick off Thursday, September 10th. All things going according to form in Kansas City, a playoff rematch between the Texans and the Chiefs when Houston blew the 24-0 lead on Kansas City's road to winning the Super Bowl. Mark, Brady at Breeze to start off the Tom Brady Tampa Bay Bucks era. And the Dolphins will start in New England, which is where they ended last regular season. Dolphins Patriots for Jared Stidham's first start. But Brady at Breeze, the first of their 2 meetings next year. It'll be week 1 in New Orleans, a late Sunday afternoon kick.
Don't you wish that there was a direct flight to New Orleans from Southwest Florida? Because it looks like you'll be there quite a few times this year, and that's a pain-in-the-butt flight.
Yes. And
particularly coming home.
Yes, there's direct from Fort Lauderdale.
And Tampa, but Lauderdale's quicker. So, yeah, I would be doing that if I were you this year, David, because you're going to make a trip there a few times. Seems to be the way things go, that the Saints make nice television with Drew Brees. But, yes, I think I counted 7 or 9 division games in week 1. When they had...
Sunday Night Football. The Cowboys will kick off the new LA football stadium against the Chargers. Cowboys Chargers. Thought Al Michaels made a good point last night on NFL Network in which he said, well, Jerry Jones was instrumental in orchestrating the return of the NFL to Los Angeles. And so it's fitting that the Cowboys are the opponent for the Sunday night football game. The Monday night doubleheader, Steelers at Giants will be the early game. Titans at Broncos will be the late game. I don't know about you. I'm not so sure. I mean, the Steelers obviously will draw an audience. It'll be week 1 and we'll watch and all that. But the rest of the Monday night football schedule, Mark, it's the best Monday night football schedule I can remember in a long time.
Quickly, did you say Cowboys at Chargers? Because it's Cowboys at Rams, week 1.
You sure?
I'm looking. I see Chargers at Bengals week 1. So.
Oh, okay.
I mean, everything I've got you saying is right. I don't like doing this on here, but I'm just.
No, but hey, wrong is wrong.
Right. But I didn't go through the days like you did, but last year Monday got better, and I think finally the NFL had to give in to ESPN with all the money they're paying to give them a schedule, for crying out loud.
I was going to say, you write a check for $1.9 billion annually. Could you give us a few good games? And I think they did. 5 is the maximum number of primetime games that a team can get. Mark, how many of the 32 teams have 5 primetime games?
Ooh, all right. Chiefs would be 1. Cowboys would be 2.
Right.
Tampa Bay would be 3.
Correct, this year.
Green Bay?
4.
Steelers?
No.
Ooh. I'll go with 5 teams.
8. 8 teams get the maximum 5 primetime games besides the teams that you mentioned, which were Dallas, Green Bay, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. The others are the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, the Rams, the 49ers, and even with no TB12, the New England Patriots get 5 primetime games. That'll be interesting to see if people are as into them as they have been. There will be a Christmas Day game in the NFL this coming season, which is uncommon. It's on a Friday this year, which is very uncommon. The NFL has not played on a Friday in 11 years. A playoff rematch, Mark. Vikings at Saints. Christmas Day, 4:30 in the afternoon. The NFL deciding not to go Thursday night football the day before because that would be Christmas Eve evening. They decided, you know what, how about if we just move this game to Christmas Day? But it's interesting, a little salvo also at the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
You got your little 5 games and you got the day to yourself. Not so fast, my friend.
Well, you remember for the longest time during the World Series, was it no Monday night football game? Or what would they do? They would stay away from the World Series.
Yes. The NFL would say, if you end up with a game on Monday, we won't play.
Right. That they finally said, you know what, screw you guys. We don't care.
Right. And so then
whenever we play our games, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, we're going to play them. If you have a World Series game, go right ahead. But Thursday night football's still on and Monday night football's still on. And good luck trying to beat us with your end of season series against our regular season whatever. And this is now, because now from a television standpoint, David, basketball is a bigger threat than baseball to football. Even though they're the 800-pound gorilla and they can step and squash everybody, they're just going to remind the NBA that they can do that.
Yeah, it is interesting that the NBA will get on a day like that, not including playoffs, but on a day like that, the NBA would get a better national number than a baseball lineup would, even though baseball is the bigger sport. It's about 11 billion annually. The NBA is about 8. But yes, so the NBA is a little bit more of a television threat, and the NFL is going, we got your 5 games right here.
Right, and your numbers, David's numbers are 100% accurate, but remember, with it, baseball kills it with local television deals.
Right.
Their 11 billion comes there more from the local TV deals. Not that the national ones aren't big, but they're big monies in their local television contracts.
So you mentioned me being in New Orleans, Mark. Vikings at Saints, Christmas Day. Yep.
Merry Christmas, David. But
thank you.
On a good note, it looks as if the chances are high of another Aikman Thanksgiving dinner because I see Redskins at Cowboys at 4:30.
Yes. Yes. We will be invading the household, whether he knows it or not. The NCAA said that Kansas, they responded to Kansas responding to them. And the NCAA says that Kansas, with 5, count them, 5 level 1 violations. Those are the worst violations that you can have, including one at Bill Self specifically. The NCAA said that Kansas violations are, quote, egregious and severe. Kansas says we didn't do nothing. Nothing. We're fighting everything. We're fighting the level 1s, the level 2s, the level 3s. We think you guys have bupkis. So we'll see who's right. Mark, we finally have a dissenting voice in the sports world of we're opening up and in the fall, everything going to be okay. Oregon Governor Kate Brown came out late yesterday afternoon and said, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We're not going to have any large gatherings in this state through the month of September. Well, obviously, that's the first month of the college football season. Oregon's got 3 big non-conference games, including hosting Ohio State.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't seem to be a problem with Oregon State, but large gatherings in Eugene are a little different.
Correct. Once again, we all look as to how it affects us. The U.S. Amateur is scheduled for mid-August in Oregon. Now, it's in a remote part of Oregon, and goodness knows, usually amateur golf tournaments don't have big crowds, never mind in a remote area of a state. But, the USGA now wondering whether or not the governor of Oregon just canceled their event before they thought about canceling their event. Or could they basically say that, is this the old Bill Bradley Sports Center commercial? Have you ever spoken before a large crowd? Well, I gave the keynote address at the Democratic National Convention, and Keith Olbermann looked right at Bill Bradley and said, we said a large crowd? Does the U.S. Amateur count as large gatherings? I think we will find out.
Well, it's at Bandon Dunes, right?
Yes, and so that's in a remote area of the state.
But they're open. They opened Monday. I mean, I just literally went on their website. Golf is on the horizon. Their COVID-19 update, they're opening on the 11th. So they open on Monday. So the course is open. Now, I don't know. I'm guessing because it is so remote, that has to mean that some hotel rooms are open.
Well, got to be some, if nothing else, just to house the Fox folks.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but I mean, I just mean, right, if they're opening, this is so far away, I would think that you could stay there too.
So, but a lot of events also, does this affect any Portland Trailblazers games that were going to be played? Of course, we don't know what the NBA's plan is going to be. And Jim Harbaugh, finally, Mark, crafted an open letter to the NCAA yesterday in which he said, hey, we got to make some changes. All right. If guys go undrafted, they got to be able to come back. Now, we've talked about this in the NBA. NBA only has 2 rounds to a draft. There are far more players who declare hardship or I'm coming out early, whatever it is you want to phrase it, who don't get drafted than do get drafted every year in the NBA. And we have always wondered, can they basically then raise their hand and should they be allowed to go back to college, even though their scholarship in almost every single instance has been given away? Once they go pro, the coach moves on. And so Jim Harbaugh, in an open letter to the college football community, has laid out a proposal that provide more flexibility for players who consider making the jump to pro football. All right. And so anyway,
he basically points out that hockey and baseball collegiately have adapted with the times and that football and basketball are behind the times. Basketball at least allows the player to go investigate before. And I just know because I pay enough attention to Michigan State. They had 2 guys that are looking. One guy's probably going to get drafted. The other one isn't. But they're allowed to go, whether it's talk to agents or go through the process and then make a decision. And I give Jim Harbaugh a lot of credit, David.
Well, he basically says to the Patrick Petersons and the, Adrian Peterson, who we knew after his freshman year, we're like, well, this guy could be playing on Sundays right now. he wants them to be able to raise their hand at any point in time and say, hey, I can go play on Sundays right now. And the NFL's told me I get drafted in the first round right now. I'm out of here. So he wants them to be able to leave at any point in time, but he also wants it so that guys who still have eligibility and for whatever reason declared for the draft and who go undrafted, that they can come back. Good luck, Jim. Good luck. I don't expect any movement on either front, but I applaud you.
No, and that's where I am. But you can't get anywhere by just saying it should change. And give Jim Harbaugh credit. We've been guilty of it. We try not to do it anymore. It's kind of one of the things you and I sat down a long time ago to just say, this sucks, doesn't work.
Right. Give us a solution.
What's the solution? And instead of Jim Harbaugh, and this is the second time Jim Harbaugh on two big issues in the NCAA said, this is wrong. And here's how it should be. That's a big difference from just saying it's wrong. I give Harbaugh credit. He's trying to push forward, and we will never get forward without people pushing. And I think shortly you'll have people that'll be in this now. Hey, when we have Big Ten virtual media days, David, they may ask a couple of the other coaches, right, what did you think about Jim Harbaugh's letter? To be honest, I think it's 100% correct. Couldn't support that enough. And then that's how this starts, because now that's for guys like us. When you have a coach on, now you can say, hey, Jim Harbaugh wrote a letter. Did you read it? What did you think? And that opens up the discussion of this. And while some coaches will be adamantly against it, there will be enough that will be for it, and that moves an issue like this forward.
And that, Mark, is
the starting five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
At 12 minutes before 7 o'clock, we are Miller and Moulton. Thanks for making us part of your day here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
I look at Bill O'Brien. I don't think he's a very good GM. And because of that, he might not be a good coach because of the moves he makes as a general manager. It feels like he overpays for a lot of things or doesn't get value in return. Like he's one of those guys. He's like Jason Garrett. You win just enough where you go, can't find him.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick
Just Kerwin
Show.
today. John woke up.
On Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and Fox Sports FM.
Or as he said, oh shit, my bad. Just Kerwin.
Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Galliana Kia, and Alfa Romeo Maserati of Fort Myers are taking every precaution to keep you and your family safe with dealer-to-door delivery. Plus, we're making deals we've never made before on over 1,500 new and pre-owned
Tampa
vehicles.
Bay,
Sleek, sophisticated,
according to the sharp graphic here, has the 11th toughest schedule. The Colts have the most difficult schedule.
That's right. Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, 0 down, $269 per month. Plus, Galliana gives you interest-free financing up to 84 months, no payments for up to 120 days, and prepaid gas for a year.
Carolina, the worst team that Tampa plays, according to Vegas win totals. Their average, their aggregate wins is 5.6.
What did Warren Sharp say, the team with the most difficult schedule?
Indianapolis.
Wait, difficult?
Yes.
Wow. I actually saw something yesterday which said the Colts are the easiest.
I'm sorry. That's the easiest schedule. I got it the other way. The Falcons have the toughest schedule. I thought one would be the toughest. One's the easiest. I had it completely backwards. Yeah, they only, holy cow, they only play 3 teams whose Vegas win total is 9 or above. The Vikings, the Steelers, and the Ravens.
So Vegas doesn't have Tennessee.
Tennessee's at 8.6. They're almost 9.
And Houston.
Houston's average is 7.6.
Business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs.
So I guess Vegas has Indy winning the division.
The Jags are 4.6.
And has the highest ratings on Angie's list.
So now I got to pull up somebody, so I pull up Miami so I can just see what the Jets win total is. Jets average is 6.6. I'll bet the under all day long on the Jets.
Just say, Alexa.
Receiving over.
Play Fox
You find me the Jets at 7 and see how fast I can bet that under. Because if there's a 6.6, that means you can get them at 7.
Doctor, the Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. Heat pumps take heat out of the air and put it in your pool. They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special price.
And if you can find the Patriots at 9, don't you have to go under?
Family company. And for over 40 years, we've been doing
right. I would, because the East Division teams play a much more difficult schedule this year than they played last year.
State certified CPC 057088.
This is Brian Creel here with my son Trace from Creel Tractor Company. We are open for business and taking all precautions necessary. We have teamed up with Kubota Tractor offering curbside pickup for your parts and parts delivery. And the service department is open and ready to assist with any repairs here or at your location. Kubota is offering discounts
Is this
on parts for all your Kubota
this commercial? I'm convinced they've got like a Wild Horses loop of guitar behind it.
Right now, get 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Offer expires May 31st. Visit KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Because of how fast they're talking?
No. The guitar behind the music that's playing, I'm convinced it's the Rolling Stones' Wild Horses on just like how, playing that 4-second loop that doesn't get you in trouble of the.
You answered yes to either question. It's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco
If the U.S. Open mark goes as scheduled, I will miss Thursday night football, Cincinnati at Cleveland. But also, as currently scheduled, I'll miss Georgia at Alabama.
The insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013.
Text Gary really quickly.
Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing
chance to get pipped here. There's no doubt about it.
Gary, I'm available for Georgia, Alabama. Just want to let you know.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Yesterday's poll question, today's poll question.
It's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
7 minutes before 7 o'clock. We are Miller and Moulton. This is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. And we've encouraged you for a while now. Sign up for the Miller and Moulton channels on YouTube and Twitch TV. Have a lot of fun during the breaks. At least some fun. Anyway, I mean, some breaks a lot of fun. Some breaks just some fun. And also, we go off topic during the commercial breaks. Like, little COVID-19 discussion breaks out occasionally.
It has been amazing that the Twitch audience, that is usually about 20 folks in there with us at all times. A little light this morning for whatever reason. You're all sleeping in on Friday. But it has brought David Moulton out of his shell during commercial breaks. When we first started this, David was incredibly apprehensive. And you have to go back with Miller and Moulton, but when we were in the same studio together, it was lively political discussions for 5 minutes. So much so that John Cassio, our producer, would be like, "Shut up! We're coming, guys. We're coming back." And we're
banging on the glass.
We're yelling at one another or yelling with one another. I mean, just adamant discussion. So when this started, David just quit. He was scared to death to go political during the break because, well, people don't take that lightly anymore. They will turn you off because of your political views. So the COVID-19, the separate houses, David's been getting a little more loose during the commercial breaks. And we have some fun questions from the folks on Twitch. We give you a couple of questions every day. They're our poll question. And yesterday, which of these are you most looking forward to doing again was the question. And the COVID-19 anxiety, the handshake, the bro hug, the hug, or I'm done with all of it. And I am very saddened to report that I'm done with all of it eked out the victory. Handshake made a strong run late in the day. But by just over 1 percentage point, you folks are done with all of it. The handshake coming in second, the hug third, and the bro hug you're basically done with. Today, another hard-hitting question. Who would you rather be, Tom Brady or Derek Jeter? Who'd you vote for, David?
Brady. I think Jeter made a mistake with the Marlins purchase. I do. Even though somebody like me, I'm a bit of a workaholic and I would love a challenge like that and all that. I actually think it's not the Marlins is too hard of a challenge. I think there's far fewer moments of greatness and that you can achieve there. I do. I think it's a very tough spot to make work. I don't think you can make it consistently work. I think it'll be one of those baseball franchises, kind of like the Royals. Remember how the Royals put a group together? They had about a 2+ year, push. They made the playoffs both times, went to the World Series both times. Then they were basically unable to keep it together, break it up. Now trying to put it back together again. It's. I think that the Marlins, of all the professional teams that you could buy into, and there's like 100 of them, got to be one of the 5 hardest situations in pro sports.
Yeah, his starting lineup of dating makes me want to be Derek Jeter right now. I could care less about the Marlins.
Gotcha.
He outdated the world. I mean, DiCaprio looks at him and goes, "Damn, Jeets, you're good."
Yeah, his black book is the one that goes on auction.
Hey, Aaron Walker here. Super excited to announce the grand opening of the all-new giant used car outlet at Naples Nissan. Finally, you can test drive hundreds of previously loved cars,
I didn't have
trucks,
the clock
and SUVs all in one spot. Toyota,
Lost
Ford,
track of time.
Chevy, Mazda, you name it, we got it. And hey, what's the best part about outlet shopping? That's right. You save tons of money. Over 300 vehicles, wholesale priced, and all backed by our exclusive unlimited mile lifetime warranty. That's a warranty that lasts forever, and that's accepted anywhere in the USA. We've got at least 100 cars you could drive home right now for less than $200 a month. That's probably less than your cell phone bill. Need financing? We got you covered there too. Come see us at the all-new giant used car outlet at Naples Nissan, right here on Pine Ridge Road. That's exit 107 off I-75, or visit naplesnissan.com. All offers with approved credit.
Our sound is a sound that makes you stop. Stop. And listen.
Listen to me and you listen well.
It's a collective voice that calls out to you, the fan.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts.
Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get it here.
Get crazy, get wild.
On Fox Sports Radio.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
The sports station with balls. And strikes. We also have strikes. WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. We are Fox. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
And I got to be honest. I'd take Jeter's wife over Giselle. I would.
No, she's beautiful. There's no doubt about
that. The first time I saw her in the DirecTV ad, I was like, who is that? Her eyes are just breathtaking. Going Jeets with the win, everybody. Just to let everybody know, I'm going Jeets with the win.
Plus younger.
And I don't have to learn a second language to talk to the parents.
I actually think it's an
advantage for the kids. It's a disadvantage for me.
No, I think it's an advantage for Brady. Then this way you don't even have to fake the conversation. You just look at the wife kind of like, well, there's a language barrier. I'd chime in, but
Yeah, like hell you'd do that. It would give you another political sphere to jump into, David.
That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro.
Let's go international politics, shall we?
Sure.
My bro hug crew. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, The best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Approaching a couple minutes past 7 o'clock on this Friday, the 8th of May. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. 479-5551 is how you can chime in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, 479-5551. Our poll question straight from Mark's wife. Who would you rather be, TB12 or Derek Jeter? When she found out that Brady was staying at Jeter's place, she just said, "Would you rather be Brady or Jeter?"
Yeah, that was a topic last night in the Miller household. Somehow our life has turned into a poll question.
Well, if it passes the time
these
days, what are you going to do? Play Risk and Monopoly again? Why not? Debate a good poll question every night. Couple of glasses of wine. Maybe a TV show, bada bing, bada boom, in bed by a whopping 10 o'clock.
Now, I don't know if, since Brady's part of this, I don't know if they had been, the writers gave them lines for yesterday, but they had about a 25, 30-minute presser for this golf match.
Talking Tiger,
Phil, Peyton,
Brady.
And Ernie Johnson was hosting it. And I did not watch it. I did not hear you. Tom delivered a pretty good zinger. I mean, he did fire off a pretty good zinger when he said, I actually thought I was going to be Tiger's partner, but Peyton's dad called and switched the teams.
Ha, ha, ha. Nice.
I mean, that is well played. But if you wonder why every year ESPN approaches Peyton Manning with a piece of paper and a pen and says, write down what it will take for you to do Monday Night Football, may I give you 1 minute of Peyton Manning yesterday in the presser torching one Tom Brady. Absolute gold.
Ernie, the tournament had to be in Florida. After Tom's B&E arrest, with the ankle monitor, he couldn't leave the state. So it had to be in Florida. Tiger and I talked to the sheriff in Tampa. He's going to be allowed to go to Palm Beach to play. I'll be honest, I've never played Tom very well on his home turf. And so maybe this is considered a neutral site. And I would have loved to have had this tournament in a place where they don't like Tom very much. Indianapolis, Denver, Boston, after he just betrayed them and broke their hearts. So Palm Beach is the best we can probably do. Look, I think the teams are fair. I think, Phil chose the right partner in Tom. Together, they have 11 championships. Tiger and I have 17, the way I count it, right, Tiger?
The best part of that whole thing is the Twitter account that I'm playing that off of is Tom Brady's. Tom tweeted that out with the phrase, sorry, not sorry.
Well, I just saw the little bit in which Phil's talking a little trash, and Tiger basically says, hey, man, wow, it's getting pretty drafty in here. I'm getting cold. And he reaches over and he takes the green jacket and he puts it over him as if, to huddle under it to get warm. So there's Phil talking trash, and Tiger stops him by huddling under the green jacket.
At least it wasn't a U.S. Open trophy.
Yeah,
that would have been cold.
Yeah, that's a little painful.
Right. I mean, that shows you that their relationship has blossomed over the years.
Right.
That 10 years ago, they would have never done it, and Tiger would have pulled out a U.S. Open trophy. He would have pulled the Patrick, I can't hear you. My Stanley Cup rings were in my ears.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that what these two guys are now doing together, when you're right. I mean, up to a couple of years ago, if somebody had floated the idea, Tiger would have done it, but he would have done it with anybody not named Phil.
Right. Very simple. He would have done it against, Marco Mira, just making sure that he could win and win big. But it's great. Look we love these guys having a little humility and being fun and letting us in. I don't know if they had some people write lines for him. Wouldn't surprise me. But Peyton, it's one thing to have the line written. Peyton can deliver them. And I think it would be better than Booger. I do. When you hear this, you understand, don't you, why ESPN every year desperately begs him to come on their Monday Night Football broadcast?
There was a long story written a few days ago in which someone is quoted as saying Peyton came really close to saying yes, but ESPN put a deadline on it. And they thought if they had just given Peyton a little bit of time, he was talking himself into doing it. And that this person didn't understand why they basically said, we need an answer within a week. And that this source was like, if they gave him about a month, he was talking to people who were pushing him towards doing it. So interesting. There are a lot of contracts that are up in a year for those that care about this sort of thing. I don't think it matters. I think the games are what matter.
Boy, you are right. I hadn't gone through the Monday games last night. I kind of went through Bucks and Dolphins, and I went the Steelers schedule because they're playing the Ravens on Thanksgiving, and looked at the wife and said, if we wanted to go to your house for Thanksgiving, wouldn't mind having a little dinner and shooting down
going to the game
to Heinz Field for the last kick of the night. But you are right. This is a really
read
attractive.
Off some of the games.
All right.
I mean, does it matter?
The opening weekend is Steelers at Giants, Titans at Broncos. Now, I won't stay up for the late one. Neither will most of us. But then it's Saints Raiders. I'm in.
First game in Vegas.
Chiefs at Ravens on Monday Night Football.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Come back with Falcons at Packers.
I mean, to give you an idea, if you're Fox, Week 3 Monday Night Football is what again?
Chiefs
at Ravens. Right. Okay. Do you know what the Thursday night game is that week that Fox has? Dolphins at Jags. I mean, good to see the 1.9 billion's getting a little better response than it used to.
Holy cow. Falcons, Packers, Chargers at Saints, Cardinals at Cowboys. I mean, these are all attractive football games. Bears at Rams, Bucks at Giants, TB12's first Monday nighter on November 2nd, then Pats at Jets. I think that's a dud because I think the Pats are an 8 or 9 win football team and the Jets may be on the clock. Vikings Bears, one of the best rivalries in the game. Monday night in Tampa, the Rams come to play the Bucks on November the 23rd. Seahawks Eagles, Bills Niners, Ravens Browns, Steelers Bengals, and Bills Patriots.
Bills get 2 Monday Night Football games. They're both on the road. They do, however, Buffalo gets a Thursday night home game against the Chiefs. One of the marquee, actually, Thursday night football games. I think the Thursday night football schedule is a little down, but there's about 4 or 5 marquee games that are on it. But mid-October, Kansas City at Buffalo. That's my weekend, Mark. Kansas City at Buffalo on Thursday, and then Packers-Bucks Sunday.
If you can get back.
Right. Well,
I mean, you could be in Buffalo for 2 or 3 weeks with the snow at that time of year.
Well, I figure I'm going to drive.
You drive to Buffalo?
It is a decision that I think a lot of people are going to have to make for those that are used to flying. Will you do as much flying, or will you pull the old Moulton and just decide to take a leisurely drive?
Or C, I think people just aren't going to go places.
Yeah, could be that.
I mean, wife and I had a long discussion last night. I have a friend who just saw it on social media, went to the Peace River and did some of the, there's digs you can do there for fossils and things. I'm like, ooh, that would be fun. I mean, I'm just starting to look at what are all the things within a half hour, 45 minutes of me that I can do. What are the day trips I can take my daughter to do some things? Did you catch this story, David? This is what's happened in the pandemic. I know you don't play video games, but you're aware of their existence. And on the final EA Sports college football game, I think in 2014, I think it's the last edition, you could create a player. And you created that player in high school, and you would play games with him, and this player could get recruited and then would pick his college and go through the whole thing. And I know that because my son created himself as a quarterback and wanted to get, recruited. The goal was to get to Georgia. Because he wasn't going to do it as a real football player. Let's do it virtually.
He'd settle for East Carolina, but the goal was Georgia.
Right. So that leads us to one Patrick Flowers. Patrick Flowers is a 5-star talent from Missouri, the most promising prospect to come out of Joplin High in years. Nicknamed Speedy.
Speedy Flowers.
Carries shades of Lamar Jackson.
Really?
So as it was going on, Speedy put a tweet out because he had said he had received his first offer from Northern Illinois University.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, he gets a direct message on Speedy's Twitter account from the coach.
Oh, the Huskies.
Of Northern Illinois, who simply said, I'm the only person that offers scholarships, and I did not offer you. We don't play those games here. And, well, turns out that Speedy Flowers is not a real person. He is a virtual prospect made by a sophomore at Michigan State University. And as this is going on, he's with his friends, and Jad Sadafi, he is a student at Michigan State pre-law, and when this happens, he's with his friends, and his friends say, come on, you got to go, do it. So he puts on his Patrick Flowers Twitter fake page after a discussion with at NIU coach Hammock. I no longer have an offer at Northern Illinois University. This is incredibly sad for me and my family as I work so hard to get this point. I will come out of this stronger, as God always has a plan for me.
Oh no.
Oh no, he did every tweet had a God reference. He made it try to seem as realistic. So then, and he put a screenshot up of basically his EA Sports recruiting page with the Thomas Hammock DMs saying we don't play those games. And he put it up. Well, all of a sudden, he goes to bed. He has 65 followers when he goes to bed. He wakes up in the morning with thousands of followers and more than 1,000 retweets. The number 4 tackle in the country has now figured out that this is a fake account. He retweets it and says that he and Flowers are a package deal.
Good for that kid to at least take part.
Right. Hammock, the coach, give him all the credit in the world. Thomas Hammock, the next day, finds out this has gone on and knows he's on it and says, instead of being a jerk about it, he goes on Twitter and says, due to the NCAA rules, I'm not allowed to comment on specific recruits from even from the class of 14. I would like to state that all of our offers are committable and come personally from me. People pull offers every day. We're not in that business. Honesty is a policy. Man, he got me with 2 laughing emojis. So he goes, I've got thick skin. Once I realized it was a story, I wanted to get out in front of it and I was duped. It's funny. I'm okay with it. So this kid from Texas, this lineman, has a twin brother, and Texas is going after both of these kids. They send a recruiting pitcher at Tommy Brockmeyer and his brother, both in Texas uniforms, with Speedy Flowers in the middle of the recruiting video. They end up doing an edit. NIU does an edit of a We Are Huskies Join the Pack Patrick Flowers jersey in an NIU, but it says, but only if Coach Hammock offers on it. And, it just morphed into its own thing. And, for a moment, some coaches started following this guy for like a half a minute. A couple of big recruiting people started following him, and then they just jumped out. But it is just one of the little stories, and he eventually would end up picking Michigan State. I think he narrowed it down to Clemson, Alabama, Michigan, and Michigan State. And, of course, because the kid is there, he picks Michigan State at the end of it. But I just thought I caught that yesterday. I saw a tweet about the story, read the story on The Athletic, and I'm like, that's what's happening. And with all of the fake Twitter accounts and all of the burner accounts that turned into people doing stupid, foolish, mean things, I thought this was tremendous.
Glad the Northern Illinois coach could keep a sense of humor.
I agree.
I love the brothers saying we're a package deal. That's funny. That's funny because that goes on a lot in a lot of sports. So that is funny. 479-5551 is our number. 479-5551 is how you can chime in via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Your thoughts on your team's schedule. There are a few teams out there who have, I think I saw it, Mark. Did the Saints, somebody got a 3-game roadie?
Yes, they did. But they do get a Thursday to begin it.
I mean, you don't see a lot of 3-game homestands, but you see it's tough. There are teams who have schedules in which it's just home away, home away, home away throughout the year. They don't even get 2-game homestands and 2-game road trips. But there were a couple of teams, I believe, that got 3-game road trips.
Eagles. Week 6 in the Vikings, Week 7 on the Cowboys and Sunday night, and Week 8 against the Bills.
Think about that. Rattle off those 3 teams again. Vikings playoff team, Cowboys were not, Bills were.
Yeah, but they all had either 500 or winning records, too.
Correct.
And they're all expected to have 500 or winning records this year.
And that's before you reach midseason. The Browns, meanwhile, have it the other way. I got to say, this is a big year for Baker and the boys, but I believe, Mark, if you call up the Browns schedule, they go from like Columbus Day to the first weekend in December. They don't leave the state. Between home games, buys, playing the Bengals, I think the Browns have like a 6-7 week stretch where they don't leave the state. And so to me, that would be one of those, hey, look at this as, hey, this is pretty favorable. You had it the opposite last year with both the Raiders and the Bucks, who had a 7-week stretch in both of them in which they didn't play a home game. They both went from mid-September to early November without playing a home game. I think the Browns have it in reverse this year.
Yeah, you're right. They go from week 7 at the Bengals, home for the Raiders, bye, home for the Texans, and then they go to the Eagles, and then home for the Eagles. So, yeah, you're right. Then they go to the Jags. But that's a pretty nice stretch. And even the home game before the Bengals is Pittsburgh, and that's an hour and a half from Cleveland.
Right. So, the Browns have a really nice, and opponent-wise, it doesn't look like the most difficult stretch either. So
the Browns, by Warren Sharp's calculations, David, he went off of the 2020 Vegas win totals and composited all the different booking houses and did the schedule that way. The Cleveland Browns have the 3rd easiest schedule, according to him.
And is it Indianapolis that everybody says, whether it's by opponent's winning percentage or Warren Sharp's theory in terms of, take a look at what Vegas is expecting of your team and add up the win total and divide it by 16, and that's your strength of schedule. And everybody's saying the Colts have the softest schedule in the league.
By a lot.
Interesting.
The way this graph kind of goes, since we're all used to how graphs shoot, this thing shoots up from 2 to 1. That's the spike, if you will. It's pretty steady. They play this season. The Colts play, by Vegas average, they only play 3 teams that are expected to win more than 9 games. The Vikings, the Steelers, and the Ravens. Now, the Packers are at 8.9. The Titans that they play twice are at 8.6. The Browns are at 8.4. The Bears are at 8.1. But everyone else on their schedule that they play is expected to have a losing record.
All right. Over under. He has the Browns at 8.4. Let's just say 8.5. If we put the Browns over under at 8.5, what would you go?
Should be over.
Winning team.
It should be over, but I am going to go under because it's another new staff, and I don't like this offseason for brand new staffs. I don't know how you implement an offense, and that's what they need. They better get out of the gates quickly. That's all I'm telling you, David.
Remember, they got that nice, once they're approaching midseason, they got that nice, favorable part of the schedule. But that's an interesting team there.
Oh, it really. I mean,
you put the over/under at 8.5. Is it time? Are these guys going to finally do what they should do? We're only calling for them. Can they get to 9-7? I mean, it's not like we're saying win the division, anything crazy. It's like, hey, can the Browns produce a winning season this year? And that's it, just a winning season. Can they throw one on the board? I believe since they've returned to the league, they've had 2. They had a 9-7 season where they went to the playoffs, lost to the Steelers, and they had a 10-6 season under Romeo Crennel where they missed the playoffs. I think they've had 2 winning seasons since they returned to the league in 1999.
For the record, the Browns on their schedule, the Bengals twice, 5.4 win total. Redskins, 5.1. Jags, 4.6. Giants, 6.3. Jets, 6.6. I mean, they are playing.
That's 6 games right there.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are the lowest win totals. Jags, Redskins, and Bengals. I mean, I think they have the 3, what are qualified as the 3 worst teams in the league on their schedule. And Carolina would also be in there, and they don't play Carolina. But the Browns should be a playoff team this year.
Or at least a team with a winning record. I mean, you would like to think, and last year and lately in the AFC, if you put 9 up on the board with a 7-team playoff system, you would have gotten in recent years. I mean, last year, darn near an 8-win team made it. So I'm just wondering, is this a year for Cleveland?
Probably not, because after all, it is Cleveland. And
I understand.
And I worry. Don't you worry about a brand new coaching staff coming in with everything that's going on this year?
It's a legitimate issue. It is. The one thing that we are good as fans and media, however, we build a team up. We say this is going to be their year. It ends up not being their year, and we quickly forget about them and write them off. Who was that team last year? The San Francisco 49ers. Now, they had a really good excuse as to why 2018 didn't go well. Jimmy G got hurt early. But 2018 was going to be San Francisco's year. They finished 2017 strong with Jimmy G. Went in, I think, 5 straight to end the season. 2018 was going to be their year, and it went horribly wrong. And then we just kind of patted them on the head and moved on. And look what happened. So that's all. Just wondering. Now with a lot less attention on them, we're talking about Buffalo getting primetime games. Tampa Bay getting 5 primetime games. And now this is a year where Cleveland, in theory, Mark, they can just go to work. All the focus on the top of the division. Even Joe Burrow generating some attention in Cincinnati. Can the Browns finally just go to work? Because if so, that's a playoff roster.
Could be.
I think it is.
Could be.
I don't think there are 7 better rosters in the AFC than Cleveland.
Miller and Moulton. This may continue during the show and the break.
Okay, fair enough.
So join us on Twitch, because I'm going after Moulton right now, because we've got to pay whatever bills that we're paying. I don't even know if we're paying all of our bills right now. I don't.
But we're going to break.
We're going to try.
I'm Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Let me get some water, then you can yell at me.
I feel like Tom.
No, it's not yell. Let's discuss.
All the boxes are being checked that weren't checked in Tampa, including, I bet you, Jason Light, the general manager, talked to Tom. They had an hour phone call and said, listen, we need a right tackle. That's going to be our first pick. You think Belichick's telling Tom what his first pick's going to be? No.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge selection and great pricing on Core-Tech flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tech in stock, ready to go, pick up, put down as soon as you want it.
I don't know, Hops. I don't know. I think we used to when there was less primetime games. I think when it was just Monday night, I think it was such a special deal that I think fans got really into it. I know as, someone who grew up in Michigan and the Lions just sucked. When Barry Sanders got there and all of a sudden there was a Monday night game, it was such a buzz. But I don't feel that way anymore. I feel that way more about Thursday than I do Monday. But I will let you know if they let fans in the games when I scalp my Sunday, Thursday, and Monday night tickets to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at how well they go. That'll be my judge.
That's floormeisters.com.
A big part of enjoying a good bike ride are all the sights you see along the way.
So when David and I both developed cataracts, it didn't take long for us to do something about it.
Turns out some of the best cataract surgeons in the world are right here in our area at Community Eye Center.
We really care about improving people's lives by improving their vision.
Dr. Spalding and Dr. Spatafor really...
Because I've got a big Thanksgiving decision to make. If we go to Pittsburgh, I could do Ravens-Steelers. Then it would be have to talk the wife to fly home early Sunday so we could do Chiefs-Bucks on Sunday. I don't want huge profits. All I want is to be able to go to 2 games and have what I sell the rest of the tickets pay for them. That's really all I want. I even told the wife I'll probably give away the preseason games if they're going to let fans on the air. All right, David.
Yes.
Chargers, and I know it's big roster. Chargers or Browns? How much ahead do they think the Browns are?
I think they're comparable.
Denver.
Finally, you can test drive hundreds of previously loved cars, trucks, and SUVs all in
I think
one spot.
Cleveland's
Toyota,
roster is a
Ford,
little
Chevy,
better.
Mazda, you name it,
Okay.
we got it. And hey, what's the
Anybody in the South that you think has a better roster than Cleveland? That would be the way. I mean, I'm not even going to go through the teams. I don't know if there is. Maybe Indy.
Tennessee's roster is probably the best in the division.
Okay, and then Indy's a second, I think, now with Rivers.
And that's accepted anywhere in the USA.
Yeah, I would say Tennessee's roster is better.
Okay, but you don't think Indy's is?
No.
That's probably less than your cell phone.
They'll win more games because they're in an easier division.
Well, but that from a playoff standpoint, that's right. But I'm just that's all. And then the Bills is better.
Yes.
That's exit 107 off I-75.
Okay. And then the Ravens is better. Is the Steelers roster better?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I think it's comparable.
I think it's very comparable. But you can't say, yeah.
The difference is one team knows how to win, the other doesn't. Culture's different.
I will say the offensive line in Pittsburgh's better than that in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, and the Hall of Famer, even if he is 300 pounds at quarterback. But hey, can you do Warren Sharp's win totals here? Because I do think I think people would find that interesting.
Yeah, it's
that where he's got like the Cleveland at 8.4 and.
All right. I've got to kind of do them differently because it's not listed, if you know what I mean. I got to pull up a schedule to see how this is. So, you want?
We can't do it. We can't.
Well, we can. We just have to write them.
Okay. Well, do we want to take a half an hour and do them at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I got to do this stupid today was the day one thing that I forgot to do last night. So I can start doing it after this break or next break because I've got to get. I totally screwed the pooch here.
Want to see more? Go to myshowerdoor.com.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton Twitch and YouTube channels. 479-5551 is our number, 479-5551.
He ducked me, everybody. He ducked me for that commercial break. He went and got water.
I told you I was going to do it, though. I said you could yell at me once I get back.
But we did have basically, you have Cleveland. I think we had 5 teams that we thought had a better roster than the Browns. The Ravens, the Chiefs, what'd you have? The Tennessee.
Yeah, I think the Titans have a better roster.
And the Bills have a better roster. And then we thought that there were a handful of very comparable rosters.
Yeah.
That the Chargers roster is comparable. That the Broncos.
Steelers roster is comparable. Denver's roster is comparable.
Indianapolis's roster is comparable.
Yes. But I think the Browns roster is better than the Colts roster. I do.
And those are 5, basically if we're right on the 4 having the better roster, those would be 4 playoff teams. That's 5 teams fighting for 3 spots. Then throw in the 6th team that'll come from nowhere. It just will. We didn't even have Houston on that list.
I'm not saying the Browns are going to make the playoffs, but I do think that if you look at it from that standpoint, Mark, it's what we were saying about the Chargers heading into 2018 and 2019. We're like, take a look at this roster. They are loaded with good players. In 2018, they go 12-4, and they were a preseason pick by some to go deep last year, and it imploded last year, obviously. And they got rid of Rivers, and they're moving on. But I don't think the roster's a whole heck of a lot different. They've got a weakness at left tackle. They do. And Tyrod Taylor? Really? You're going to try to get this done with Tyrod Taylor? I would ask their head coach, hey, I know you had him in Buffalo. I know you like him a lot. I get it. Are you willing to put your job in Tyrod Taylor's hands? That's how you need to look at this, because we had a bad year last year. This is our first year in the new stadium. Something's got to happen this year. We got to generate a little excitement here. We got to win some games. We got to go to the playoffs. Are you sure Tyrod Taylor is going to get us to the playoffs? If I phrase it that way, and then say, because if we don't go to the playoffs because you chose Tyrod Taylor, you're not going to be here next year. So are you sure about this? I don't think I'm asking an out-of-line question here if I'm the owner of the Chargers. I really don't. Really? Tyrod Taylor? Cam Newton's sitting at home looking for a team. Are you sure?
You sounded like Joe Pesci grilling the guy who was cooking the grits in My Cousin Vinny. You sure about those 30 seconds? You sure about those 5 minutes? That's what you morphed into full Jersey with that approach to him, and I loved it. Loved every second of it. Nothing you said was wrong. I can't really combat that with if that's the pro, there's no con to that because you're right in what you say. But you went a little full Jersey, and I enjoyed it.
Don't you think twice a week Cam Newton calls his agent and says, are you sure the Chargers haven't called? Do they have your number? Did you change your number recently? He goes, no, man, they haven't called. Really? Just send them your info again. Because I don't believe you. And I'm not taking anything away from Tyrod Taylor, but I won the MVP. I'm 31 years old. I'm not 41. I'm 31. Are you sure?
I'm a man. Oh, sorry. I do think that those conversations, the conversations between Cam and his agent must be interesting right now. Because Cam, they've been very emphatic in that Cam's not interested in being a backup.
Except yesterday, did you hear, quote, unless it's the right situation?
That means Pittsburgh.
Well, it does to me.
Means Pittsburgh.
It
Sorry.
does to me. You're damn right it does.
Seattle. Yeah.
It means Pittsburgh.
See, and I don't think it means Seattle because Russell Wilson plays 16 games.
I understand.
No, but Ben is bigger than a Volkswagen right now. And Ben hasn't been getting through 16 games much anyhow, not just last year.
Then again, you could just chill out and wait. There are those that believe that we're going to have an even bigger rash of injuries because the off season will have been as disjointed as it is. And when they put them back together, that there are a lot of people who in the strength and conditioning industry who believe that the players will not be at the start of the season what they normally are. And so because of it, we're going to have more injuries. We'll see. Just it's kind of like, Mark, you believing, and you're not alone, that, hey, if you got a new coach and or a new quarterback and or a new system, that these might not be the teams that you want to jump on the bandwagon with this year. That this could be a year in which a disjointed offseason and a lot of change, you put that combination together, that usually doesn't add up. Like, don't you think Matt LaFleur caught a break that last year was his first year with Green Bay and not this year?
Yeah, totally, David. Like, this goes back to my whole point with Cleveland. Stefanski's bringing in a whole new crew here, and they don't have the time to put in a system the way that they would have. No mini camps, no rookie mini camps. Who knows when training camp's going to start? And I don't mean to keep harping on the Browns, but I do think that they've got a nice roster there. I don't think the timing of this is very good for what they're trying to accomplish this year.
And so if you believe that, in theory, you would also believe that maybe we'll have a few more injuries in August and September than we normally do. And if you're Cam Newton, do you just wait? As opposed to going to Pittsburgh on a $4 million deal loaded with incentives so that you can make double that. You know, you keep talking about the Browns, you know, they brought in Case Keenum as their backup. There are a few teams who have invested in some backup quarterbacks this year. I applaud Dallas for bringing in Andy Dalton. Andy could have waited, but TCU guy, it's a one-year deal. You know, Dak's the first Cowboys quarterback, I think, since Meredith to play 4 consecutive years without missing a game. It's at least Staubach, all right? And I think you have to go back even to Meredith. Last Cowboys quarterback to not miss a start for 4 consecutive seasons. And I think if they had a competent backup quarterback, they would have played him late last year at the game at Philly. Dak couldn't throw. Couldn't throw in practice all week, had to get shot up, couldn't lift his elbow up above his armpit. I mean, he couldn't throw. And he played terribly in the worst game of the year, and they lost, and that was it. I think if they had an Andy Dalton last year, Dalton starts in Philly.
Because for Cam, I don't know what's left outside of what you spoke of and waiting till someone gets hurt. New England's obviously not interested.
Nope.
Jacksonville's obviously not interested.
Nope.
So if they're not interested, explain to me where he's supposed to go.
No. And if it's not the Chargers, if they're going Tyrod Taylor with the kid waiting in the wings for next year or whenever, well, it seems as if Cam needs an injury, which is remarkable in and of itself. I will say this about the Patriots. In a strange way, are you more interested in the Patriots season than you've been in a while?
No, not me. Only because I liked the Patriots for the greatness.
Right.
And now I'm more interested in Kansas City and Baltimore. I am a person without an NFL team. I don't have a favorite team. I want to watch the best team play as many times as possible. And I marveled in the greatness that was the Patriots with Belichick and Brady. I will pay attention early because, yes, let's see what he can do with nothing. I mean, because Pat Kerwin, 3 weeks ago on this show, I think you asked the question, if Belichick wasn't the coach, what would we be predicting for this roster? And he goes, 5-11. Couldn't get it out of. Is there a 5-win team with that roster?
Right. 3rd or 4th place.
Couldn't get it out of his mouth quickly enough. So there is a fascination with, you know, their win total in Vegas is like 8.5.
Yep.
Wow. With that roster. Now, they do get to play the Jets twice.
Now, you can hear the Patriot fan yelling at us right now going, they went 12-4 last year, blah, blah, blah. Well, I could take issue with that because, remember, they went 4-5 in their last 9. And since then, they lost 4 starters on defense. They lost Brady. They lost their great offensive line coach, Scarnecchia, in which you have to acknowledge some assistant coaches make a difference, and he clearly has.
And it was evident in the year that he left that Belichick had to beg him out of retirement because Belichick realized what he cost their offense.
And so yes, you could say they were 12-4 last year. You could also say, counting the playoff loss, I mean, think about it. Patriots lost their last 2 home games to the Dolphins and the Titans. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's 2 teams went into Foxborough and beat the Patriots in their last 2 home games. So just how much is left in that tank? I think what Belichick is doing is this is full circle. This is 2000. Belichick came in and got the job and gutted half the roster. Brought in a bunch of new guys. Implemented his system, the whole deal. Bledsoe was the quarterback for 2000. He gets hurt in 01. We all know what happens. And that Belichick had the 2000 offseason or the 99 offseason, whatever you want to call it. And then he had another draft in offseason. And basically by the time that 01 team started to come together, he had 2 off seasons, 2 drafts, and made the change at quarterback. And it took a year and a half, and then everything clicked. And I think that's exactly where he believes he's at again, Mark. That he's looking at this as 2000. I'm going to throw Stidham in there, which I didn't do with Brady because he wasn't ready. Why? Because Brady was a rookie in 2000. Stidham got to play the taxi squad game and run the scout team last year. So I think Belichick's going to take this year and start to change over into a bunch of newer, younger guys.
And last year, the AFC East had a particularly easy bit of crossover games with their non-division opponents. Someone asked us just right now on Twitch, roster aside, when it's the Patriots versus the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, do they get less than 4 wins? I think it's very possible they go 3-3 in the division. Very possible. The Dolphins split with them every year. And would it shock you to see the Bills sweep them this year? No, I mean, sure, they could end up 4-2, but if they were...
No.
Right, that's all. I mean, hey, it's likely they end up going 4-2, but I could see 3-3.
Interesting poll question would be, what's more likely, the Patriots go 4-2 in the division or 2-4?
I think 4-2.
Okay, well...
I do think that's more likely.
Well, but if you think Buffalo's going to sweep them, and let's face it, they're going to be favored in both games.
I just said it wouldn't shock me. I think they would beat the Jets twice, even if they lose there. I don't think they're getting swept by 2 teams. That's all.
But yeah, the AFC East got to play the NFC East last year. And obviously that division was a bit of a grease fire. And in the Patriots case, they hosted Dallas, and they beat them. So it's much tougher crossovers.
New England, according to this graph that I'm looking at from Warren Sharp's stats, he has the Patriots with the 24th most, or the 8th most difficult schedule.
By winning percentage, it's the most difficult. When you do the record of your opponents last year, the Patriots schedule comes out as the most difficult schedule by winning percentage from a year ago. And Warren Sharp has it as one of the 8 most difficult. That's top quarter of the league. You have one of the, top quarter hardest schedules.
They play the 3 best teams in the league, or 3 of the 4. I mean, they play Kansas City on the road, and they host both San Francisco and Baltimore.
Well, and if they're playing San Francisco, that means they're playing the NFC West.
Right.
And I know they have to go out west and play the Rams.
And they have to go out west and play Seattle, week 2.
Looks a lot more formidable without that quarterback there, doesn't it?
I mean, road games for the Patriots. I'll give you the road games, and you tell me how many they're going to win. You think about this during the break. Seattle, Kansas City, obviously Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Texans, Chargers, Rams.
Well, how many of those games will they be favored in? It maybe Chargers, Jets, Dolphins, right?
Maybe Texans, but they're going to be. And
they're not going to be favored in Houston. They won't be. The hell, they lost to them there last year.
So that's all.
Miller and Moulton. Today was the day when Pat Kerwin in about 40 minutes' time. Thanks for being with us on this Friday, May 8th on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
NBA horse. We said as soon as the idea came out, that's a bad idea. In the scale
Okay, but do they? Okay, Hops, and maybe you're right. Here, just look at this though. If you go, San Francisco, Baltimore, and Buffalo are all at home. Skip the teams that they play are bad. How many of those are they getting? Just out of those three, how many? San Francisco, Baltimore, Buffalo. Is that 1 and 2 or 2 and 1? Yeah, that's.
Surgery, the lens you choose matters. And Dr. Jonathan France and the caring team of surgeons at France Eye Care want to help you navigate your vision challenges with an intelligent solution, the PanOptix intraocular lens. Dr. France, proud to not only be the first in Southwest Florida to bring you the breakthrough technology of the trifocal solution, he's also the #1 PanOptix surgeon in the state of Florida. PanOptix, specially designed to help patients see 20/20 at distances that are near, far, and even in between. Experience the freedom of living without glasses for distance driving, computers, and reading. With PanOptix, you'll experience a clear advantage that you didn't know was possible. See your future in 2020. Find out if you are a candidate for PanOptix today by dialing ** 2020 from your cell phone or call 239-418-0999.
France Eye Care.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge
Mark, the
selection
Houston
and great pricing on
Texans
Core-Tech flooring. Tim,
get the season
tell us what's new
opener,
at the
and
store.
then they get to go to Detroit for Thanksgiving.
Yep. Ready to go pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tech that you have. You also have other Core-Tech products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tech stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tech, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tech wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
We're all stuck at home, and we're finding out more about ourselves. Like sweats, our all-day attire. There was a reason you ate takeout all the time. Yeah, honey, that does taste good. You didn't really need all that toilet paper. And you found out that we're the ones you've been listening to during these crazy times. We're Fox Sports Radio.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor, the Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. Heat pumps take heat out of the air and put it in your pool. They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special pricing, rebates, and free on-site evaluations. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
This is Brian Creel here with my son Trace from Creel Tractor Company. We are open for business and taking all precautions necessary. We have teamed up with Kubota Tractor offering curbside pickup for your parts and parts delivery. And the service department is open and ready to assist with any repairs here or at your location. Kubota is offering discounts on parts for all your Kubota products and no payments for 90 days on new products. Creel Tractor. Dig up a great deal at Creel.
Right now, get 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Offer expires May 31st. Visit KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Creel Tractor since 1972.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
9 minutes before 8 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. If you miss any part of the show, that's where the Connecticut casts come in. Connecticut 908-2300, or look online for their great specials, best specials I've ever seen from Connecticut. And both Miller and Moulton are customers of Connecticut, so we know what they're all about. Connecticut, SWFL.com, the best damn water that you've ever had. Every hour of the show gets its own Connecticut cast, its own podcast. Make sure to download them if you miss any part of the show, like Pat Kerwin coming up in about 35 or so minutes time here on Miller and Moulton. Right now, it is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We start today. A lot of significant things happened today, David. We start in 1919. It was the end of World War I. The armistice of World War I leads to the creation of Remembrance Day. 1935, Cincinnati Red Ernie Lombardi doubles in the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th as the Reds beat the Phillies 15-4.
Man, Phillies had some bad pitching.
It was the same pitcher. It was 1935. They just left the guy in, David.
I'll tell you what, by the third double, I think I'm taking him out in the 8th after the third double.
63rd Derby was ran today in 1937. War Admiral wins. Today in 1945, German General Wilhelm Keitel surrenders to the Allies. 1947, the Cardinals were going to protest the first meeting with the Brooklyn Dodgers because Jackie Robinson was on the team. And, well, their owner, Sam Braden, was the one that talked him out of it. Dracula, the original, opened today in 1958 with Christopher Lee as the vampire.
I'm sorry, Mark. Saw it twice on Broadway. It was an awesome play.
1963, Dr. No premieres. 1967, Muhammad Ali is indicted for refusing induction into the U.S. Army. 1968, Catfish Hunter pitches a perfect game for Oakland against the Twins. The Beatles release Let It Be in 1970. The Cure have their debut album released today in 1979. 1984, the Soviets announced that they will not participate in the Summer Olympics after we boycotted theirs in 1980. Bad day for David in 87 because your guy quit his presidential race. Weren't you working for Gary Hart in 87?
No, 84. I was a freshman in college, and the professor arranged it where we could go up and as a class and work on a campaign. And so it was actually, I mean, you know, who knew about Gary Hart? But we went up to New Hampshire and helped him for 4 days, and he won. And it was like, I don't even know who you are, but this is kind of exciting.
We talked about the Koharski Fat Pig reference, eat another donut. This was the game today. Game 4 was today that the amateur referees worked in the series due to a restraining order brought by the Devils.
He does make contact with him, by the way. But Koharski trips over like a cable, but he did make some contact, and that's why the suspension was upheld.
He didn't push him, but he did brush him.
There was contact made. It's kind of like when you make contact with the home plate umpire when you're arguing, and you go, I didn't touch him, and then they show you, and you go, oh, I guess we did kind of bump there.
And today, Jadeveon Clowney became the first player selected by the Houston Texans in 2014. If you were born today, you share some pretty good company, I've got to be honest. You have Harry Truman, born today in 1884. Blues singer Robert Johnson, considered the king of Delta blues singers, born today in 1911. The late, great Don Rickles, born today in 1926. I ask you at some point today to just, whether it's a Letterman, the Letterman with Denzel is gold, anything from the 70s on Carson. But
he told a birthday story on Larry King Live, if you can find it. Sinatra singing at his birthday, all right? And Don Rickles looked right at him when he was done and said, Frank, that was lovely. Did I ask you to sing?
I mean, this day could be shot for me.
Oh,
that
I know.
every commercial
You and I on YouTube, we may just watch Rickles stuff all
every
day.
commercial break could be a train wreck now because I may just be putting Rickles stuff up for our Twitch audience.
Hey,
Because
Cassio's not getting any work done today either.
No, he's not.
He
Mike
loves
D'Antoni, born today in 1951, the drummer for one of the best rock bands ever, Alex Van Halen, born today in 1953. Bill Cowher, Coach Cowher, is 63 years old today. Ronnie Lott is 61. And
Wow.
and
that hits me
1
hard
minute.
right there. Ronnie Lott, 61. Damn, what a player.
Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie,
Oh, no.
56. And that is today was the day when, on this May the 8th.
Man, some just stab you in the neck more than others.
Well, it's like yesterday, the little one from Family Ties was like 47. I'm like, what? You're 10.
Yeah,
And you're going to stay that way, damn it.
Yeah, but you forget. You're like, well, that show did run during the Reagan administration.
Oh, I know.
Let's start doing the math.
Oh, I know.
479-5551 is how you can chime in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Our poll question, courtesy of Mark's wife. Who would you rather be, Tom Brady or Derek Jeter? Vote at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, or millerandmoulton.com. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Hey guys, Frank here for Center for Men's Health, where the physicians and staff want you to know that C4MH.com is open and is going to remain open throughout this ordeal. C4MH.com continues to disinfect daily with Microban 24. All patients and staff wear masks, and they will provide you with one to keep. C4MH.com now checks your oxygen level, as a low oxygen saturation level is an early symptom of coronavirus. At C4MH.com, it's always been about doing it safely, and now they've stepped it up to the next level. I've been a C4MH.com patient for years, and I know that safety was always their first concern, but I'm amazed at how they responded to this issue. I just learned that C4MH.com has donated 10,000 gloves, dozens of N95 respirators, and hand sanitizers to hospitals. Their donations to hospitals just confirm that C4MH.com wants frontline health care to be safe as well. C4MH.com, the leaders in low-T care.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio remembers the greatest coach in NFL history, Don Shula.
People ask me how I coached as long as I coached, 33 years. And I said, you got to win early and often. And then you've got a chance to stay around.
Two-time Super Bowl champion, four-time Coach of the Year, coach of the 1972 undefeated team, and Pro Football Hall of Famer. We remember Don Shula.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local
Can I start for like a few minutes, and then we go to what it is you've been working on?
Award-winning brand of shower door.
Oh, I haven't been
okay.
working on it because I had to get this thing. Do whatever you want.
Gotcha.
I've not had a chance. I literally, I would start it right now.
Okay, well then I got something.
Good.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 103.3 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
I'm going to do a quick recap, and feel free to chime in on any of the, stuff that I mentioned. The Oregon, Harbaugh, a couple of quick scheduling highlights, because then I want to get into the Dolphins and how there's an interesting thing going on right now with the Dolphins.
Okay. See, Marty Richter got a big accolades there.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
I don't think he's getting any interviews, so hopefully that'll help him a year from now.
Because there is no nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug groove.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live. Couple minutes past 8 o'clock on this May 8th. It's Friday. You can see the finish line from here. Hope you're doing well during all this. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and, well, broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch channels. And when I say doing well, doing as well as can be, I guess is what I mean. 479-5551, 479-5551 is how you can chime in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Our poll question, who would you rather be, Derek Jeter or Tom Brady? Both incredibly successful athletes. Both ended up marrying models. Both have a lot of money. Jeter's already ventured into his post-playing career, and he's part owner, and he's running a professional sports team. And Brady's nearing the end of his playing career. And
he's got two companies formed.
Right.
He's got his production company and the TB12 company.
And so who would you rather be? Since Brady is staying at Jeter's place in Tampa for the next couple of years, well, Mark's wife just asked that question rhetorically yesterday. Mark said, honey, that would make a good poll question.
She gets very excited that now she's contributed to two poll questions. She's going to start asking for more, but I don't know where to go from that. Just keep working, honey. Work hard. I'll see you tonight when you get home, and I'll pour the wine.
Well, remember, my wife went through an assistant producing phase also.
Well, and hers got pretty aggressive because when it's 7 texts to me and within 34 seconds, she was really starting to establish herself as not only the producer, but the executive producer at that point. And that's when I got a little nervous.
Yes, you and me both, especially since I didn't get any of the text.
No, not one.
No, they were all at you.
Yep. At a couple different occasions when I've angered her in which she raises her executive producer chair and starts letting me know the way things are.
It's always a nice conversation when your co-host turns to you and goes, "Can you get your wife off my back?" Sure. I'll work on that during the commercial break. Thanks.
By the way, we are edging Brady over Jeter, and I think that's the wrong answer, everyone. David thinks it's the right answer.
Right.
The starting lineup of Derek Jeter girlfriends, in and of itself, is Hall of Fame-esque.
And so that's where you're deciding down to?
He played it, the whole thing. One, I would rather play for the Yankees than the Patriots. It's not a knock on the Patriots. I would rather live in New York City and Manhattan than Boston. Boston's a tough town to live in for an athlete. They are very hard on their even with the success of Brady, they're hard on their athletes. And you can't live a normal life in the Boston area if you're an athlete. Where Jeter went through his whole career dating different women, never ended up on page 6, had parties in which you had to turn your cell phone in before you could come into his home, and managed to have an entire career getting away with that while dating supermodels and actresses. It is remarkable to me that in the Twitter, cell phone, camera phone era that we have lived in, that Derek Jeter lived the life that he did. And I like his wife better than Brady's wife. If you want me to pick out of the two, I'll take Hannah there over Giselle.
All right.
So that's
our poll question. MillerandMoulton.com. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. A couple of quick tidbits in case you missed it. The schedules were released last night. The NFL season is scheduled to kick off Thursday, September 10th. It's the Thursday after Labor Day. Texans at Chiefs, a playoff rematch from a year ago, and Houston blew the 24-0 lead. Tampa Bay is going to open in New Orleans. Miami is going to open in New England. The first Sunday night game, the Cowboys will be the opponent to christen the new L.A. Stadium as the Rams host the Cowboys. And then the Monday night doubleheader, Pittsburgh at the Giants, Tennessee at Denver. There are 8 teams that get the maximum 5 primetime games. Expect to see a lot of the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Rams, the Niners, the Patriots, which is interesting. The NFL not dropping that brand in any way. And, of course, Tom's new team, the Buccaneers. And there will be a game on Christmas Day this year, which is a Friday. Christmas and New Year's are on Fridays. Friday afternoon, late afternoon in New Orleans, a playoff rematch, the Vikings at the Saints. Second to last weekend of the season. It's the other thing. The NFL season ends the first weekend of January this year. First weekend of January, the 3rd, Sunday the 3rd, is when the NFL season ends. Up a couple of other tidbits. Oregon Governor Kate Brown said there should be no large gatherings in Oregon through the month of September.
Did she clear that with Phil Knight?
No, absolutely not. And that is the power struggle that we're going to find out. It's Nike versus the governor, and I got my money on Nike.
Me too. I'll put them at minus 400 right now if you want to know what the odds are.
Well, I will say, if you're going to give me plus 400, I'll take the governor. But if it's just going to be, kind of like a baseball game with Verlander on the hill, if this is going to be like minus 180 or 230, I'm laying it.
This is the new odds. It's minus 400 if you want to take Nike, but it's only plus 240 if you want to take Oregon.
Oh, yeah, one of those lines. Gotcha. NCAA, and for what it's worth, Oregon's non-conference schedule this year, they're supposed to host Ohio State.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
At Outson, which is one of the great home field advantages in the sport. I mean, and we've said this now for a few years. The Pac-12 has had some big early non-conference games, and they can't seem to win any of them. And this would have been it again for them. The NCAA says that Kansas basketball committed 5 level 1 violations that are, quote, egregious and severe. Kansas says they've done absolutely nothing wrong, and the NCAA is completely off their rocker. And, Mark, what this is ultimately going to come down to, and don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but the NCAA is claiming that Adidas is a booster, and Kansas is saying they're not. This could be a revolutionary case when all is said and done.
Well, that's interesting because then they would be a booster. It would get anybody that had been paid to go to a school involved. I mean, they would set precedent for anybody that they've busted there, right?
Well, but not just there. If the NCAA decides in this case that the shoe company is so active and there's so much money in their business that they are a booster, then that's a very different rules and regulations that the shoe company and the school now has to abide by.
Right, but that's not just Kansas, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's why I said
that's my point. This means that all of the stuff in this FBI investigation, every bagman, every bit of money that was given then by a booster, not by a company. I mean, that's basically what the rule change that they would make. And that's not just Adidas. That's Nike. That's anybody else that's involved. I mean, that is talk about your precedent, David.
And going forward.
Absolutely. Just quickly, I want to go ahead.
No.
I wanted to rewind quickly because the Oregon, not just Ohio State, David, because this is also, there are other elements here. Their first 3 games are at home. North Dakota State. What's that guarantee? How much money is that for the Bison program?
Oh, it's got to be at least $500,000.
Which is a very important amount of money for the Bison's football program and for their athletic department. There's no doubt.
And it's probably more.
I would say it's probably closer to $1 million.
Yes, I would agree.
So then Ohio State, no guarantee, but we all know what that game means. Then Hawaii, probably another guarantee game.
Yes.
So you're talking about probably $500,000 for Hawaii, up to maybe $1 million for North Dakota State. And these games are gone. Washington goes to Eugene on October 3rd.
Now, it's not that the games are gone. It's just that they're not going to be allowed to put anybody in the stands.
Right, but how can you pay North Dakota State when you're not getting any income?
Right. And so that's why people think that ultimately Oregon would decide to cancel the game, and or does it mean that they have to start their season later?
Or there's a third. Do they move the games to a state that would let them play? Do they go neutral site? If you're Oregon, do you call Jarrah and say, hey, what do you got on September 12th at your place? Do you call Atlanta? No, I mean, I know.
Well,
or do you use, or if this is a home, and I'm guess there's a home on the other side. Are you talking to Ohio State and saying, hey, I know we want this home this year. Do we flip this?
And Ohio State goes, hell no, we're going to wait a year and we can pack our place. This is your problem. Deal with it. Besides, we get to play a road game at a neutral site. Fantastic.
No, I got you. But, I mean,
and it also potentially affects the Portland Trailblazers and or the U.S. Amateur is scheduled in a remote part of Oregon in mid-August. And right now it is scheduled, and the plan is to go forward with it. So first politician, university president that we've heard from in the last couple weeks that has put up the yield sign, if not the stop sign, to this movement of we are opening up from a sports standpoint and from a crowd gathering standpoint was Oregon Governor Kate Brown yesterday. And Jim Harbaugh wrote an open letter to the NCAA. Find it, read it if you haven't, in which he says, listen, we got to change the way we're doing things. Kids shouldn't have to wait 3 years to go to the NFL if they're one of the few that are just ready. Let them go. And for that matter, if kids, for whatever reason, are leaving early and they are undrafted, they should be allowed to come back. Now, I will say it would be a lot easier to do it, Mark, in football because they got 85 scholarships. I mean, we've talked about this doing it in basketball. Well, they got 15 in women's, they got 13 in men's, and those scholarships are pretty much gone 4 minutes after that person decides they're gone.
It's why the big boys are so hesitant with their offers in college basketball, not just on the pro side, but they have the number one prospect at small forward and they might have the number 3. Well, they're not offering the number 3 until the number 1 officially tells them no. It is a cutthroat world for the big-time athletes in college basketball, how this is done.
And so that's some of what has gone down here in the last 12 to 18 hours. The big story last night was the schedule. And I just want to throw this out there. How far have the Dolphins fallen? They have one primetime game. One. It's at Jacksonville, which is Jacksonville's only primetime game. That's where Miami, from a TV network standpoint, from Park Avenue standpoint, that's where the Dolphins are right now. But, Mark, this could be the last time that's the case for a while.
Did you see what the 2 top-selling jerseys were at the NFLshop.com?
I was leading right into that. That's the Dolphins, when they made this schedule, they were putting it all together, they were held in a certain regard. But you don't think the TV networks in Park Avenue has noticed what's going on online?
3 of the top 5 jerseys being sold right now are all for quarterbacks in the state of Florida. And it's not Minshew.
One of them's a TB12 Buccaneers jersey.
Right. The other 2 have the number 1 on them. The home and road Tua jerseys.
3 of the top 5 selling NFL jerseys right now. Tua's home, Tua's road, Tom Brady's Bucs jersey. So I don't expect Tua to start the year. I don't know that Tua will get on the field much before November. But this could very well be the last year that, hey, when do we have our one primetime game? Could be seeing a lot more of the Dolphins on national television 2021 forward if sales indicate interest.
They do.
Yes.
They do. And, I just started looking at the Dolphins schedule. I went through it, but not so much teams. And, went through about 10 last night really quickly. You were talking about the Christmas Day game, and you're going to be in New Orleans on Christmas for the Vikings.
Haven't told the wife yet, by the way.
No?
No. Mm-mm. We're gonna wait a little. It's Mother's Day weekend. We're gonna get through.
I think that's a really smart move. I think
Thank
what?
you.
Wait till Father's Day.
hell, the way things are going, I mean, when is a bad time? But I just going to play it safe. We're going to get through the weekend.
I think that's smart.
Thank you.
But for Doll fan out there, David just said, Tua's probably playing in November. Good chance.
Unless they're contending for a playoff spot.
Well, I will tell you, the soft spot of their, I mean, if whatever happens, they go Cardinals, Jets. They play the Jets back-to-back games, by the way, with a bye in the middle.
That's
the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. They play at the Cardinals week 9. They play home for the Jets week 10. Week 11's their bye, and then they go to the Jets. But week 16, how many of you Doll fans think it sounds like a hell of a good idea to find a really cheap flight on Christmas night or the day after Christmas and head to Vegas to watch possibly Tua taking on the Raiders?
You can see the sales pitch now. Honey, we do Christmas in Vegas. What do you say?
Totally. If you have no kids or your kids are,
right.
If you have no kids, you're a younger married couple, or that would be a trip I would be down for. I mean, I can't. I've got a little girl that Santa's going to come for. But that's an all right trip.
The other thing that you're going to see, which doesn't get talked about as much, but there's actually more viewers in the 425 slot than there is oftentimes for the Sunday night game. But there's more than just the one game. There's a couple of others. But if you add up total viewers in the 425 slot, there oftentimes is more than then watch 4 hours later on Sunday Night Football. And here's the other thing that, I mean, Mark, let's be honest. You're CBS. Now, CBS got some gifts this year. They were given some games that would normally be on Fox that are going to be huge games. I mean, CBS did really well. Monday Night Football did really well with the scheduling that came out. But, Mark, Tom Brady going to the Fox package. I mean, come on. How many times has Nance? Nance said last night he's done over 100 Tom Brady games. Well, 20 years, 5 a year. That seems like, oh, yeah, he's done it. And that's not counting playoffs. Yeah, there's no doubt. I'll bet he's done 125 Brady games over the years. And if you got Roethlisberger near the end, but the Steelers are a big draw. The Patriots, will they continue to be the draw that they've been? Yes, you've got Lamar in Baltimore and you've got Mahomes. But you've got a bunch of young quarterbacks in the AFC. What team is going to emerge with their young quarterback? Is it really going to be Buffalo? Is it going to be Cleveland? Your CBS, Mahomes and Lamar have broken through for you here. You've got the young quarterbacks. The NFC's got the older ones.
Right. You still have Deshaun in Houston.
You do. You do.
But Bill O'Brien's not helping him out much.
No. And so which one of these young quarterbacks and their teams are going to be the breakout team here in the next year where CBS goes, let's put them at 425?
Hey, and you and I, we talk about it all the time, David. I think CBS would love for it to be Tua.
Yes.
Miami's a big market.
It's a top 15 market.
Right.
Yes.
It's a big market. Florida's the third most populated state. The Dolphins still are the number one team in this state if they ever get their act together. And when Miami has anything hot, the country's always gravitated towards it. Even when the Heat were, with LeBron, they weren't necessarily popular, but they were must-watch TV. We had no one has problem watching Miami sports. They just have to be relevant.
Dolphins, Miami Vice, Miami Heat. Absolutely. When Miami's got it going, we're all over it. It's usually the colors.
If here are your choices with the young quarterbacks: Burrow in Cincinnati, Tua, and I know LA. I guess LA would probably, if Herbert could get it done and they could make the Chargers. I just don't know if LA gives a damn about the Chargers.
Right. And I don't think the country has ever really given a damn about the Chargers. A little bit with Fouts and company because they were entertaining. They played fun football, especially back then.
But the only time we cared about Los Angeles football was the Los Angeles Raiders. We've never given a damn nationally about the Rams, ever. even when they were good.
And so what the Dolphins have given themselves here, because Tua is popular. He played for, whether it's popular or polarizing, whatever, the number 1 or 2 team in all of college football. And you could argue right now college football could be at its height. And they got him. And everybody seemingly who knows anything about football knows who he is. And he's just a one-name person. It leads itself to being a star in and of itself, never mind the position that he plays. And so, little interesting going on here. For this year, the Dolphins are pat them on the head, push them to the side. Let's get that Dolphins-Jags Thursday night game. You know, Mark, that's one of the 3 that's only on NFL Network.
Of course it is.
That's not even on Fox.
Of course it is.
Fox is like, listen, Miami, Jacksonville, Denver, and the Jets, we have no interest. You know, let us know when it's Brady at Chicago. Okay, then we're in. Then we'll start showing games in prime time. Otherwise, give me a break. Give that to NFL Network. Tell Dion to shave his beard. We're good. But Tua's jersey sales right now are as good as anyone in the sport. Both of them, home and away.
Right.
All right? There's just, so if he ends up playing and if he can just get a little something going into next year, watch to see how many primetime games the Dolphins get next year when they only have one such game this year. Miller and Moulton, Pat Kerwin to join us next. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Receiving. Over.
Alexa, play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Because, Mark, if you're CBS, I mean, you are.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker. Are we
You know, you can't have the Chiefs every week.
Sounds more like a dumb speaker.
And so you're gonna, you know, and Baltimore's gonna want to play a lot of 1 o'clock games, quite frankly, and that does enter into the equation. Plus, you don't know if Lamar was a 1-year phenomenon or how that's going to go.
This Vegas, I'm looking on Twitter, Vegas did like this, I don't know, just this little video introducing their players. And they're tossing the ball to one another. And like, you know, Hunt for catch, throws it, and one of the D guys, and that's just got their name and their position, and they kind of say something, and they throw the ball, and it's just going really well done video for the schedule release for the really cool with everything that's going on.
That's a warranty that lasts forever.
A friend of mine posted on Facebook yesterday that Earl Thomas and his wife are the Andre Rison and Left Eye of this generation.
Well, apparently, and I didn't realize this, apparently Earl Thomas and his brother were, it's being described as an orgy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right.
And she didn't realize, she pulled the magazine out of the gun, but didn't realize that there was still, she didn't think there were any bullets in the gun. And there was one in the chamber.
It was often the case.
And did you see his video?
No.
So he got a call from his agent that TMZ got a hold of this. And he put a video out on Twitter. He said, hey, up to my understanding that TMZ got this. I just want to be out ahead of it. For all these things happen. This is private.
Wait. These things happen?
Exactly. Yes.
What?
Right.
These things happen.
You know, we're talking, I'm seeing my kids. I just want you wish you'd all pray for me. And I'm like,
wait.
Pray for you for having the orgy, or having the gun to your head.
These things happen?
Bro. No. You got to seek it out after the show and watch the video. It's great.
These things happen.
Right.
You had lunch with your wife. You left the house. You met up with your brother. You began to have an orgy with 2 other women. Your wife shows up, puts a gun to your head.
Well, and he didn't meet.
You go outside. She's chasing you around the car, threatening to shoot you. These things happen.
Well, I don't know they chased, because what I saw is that he got the gun away from her, and then she hit him several times. That's how I read it.
Okay, and I read that they got arrested outside in the driveway.
But there's the best part is her lawyer is saying it didn't happen, and her friends videoed it.
Right.
No.
I know,
her friends videoed it.
With her, with the gun to his head.
Right. Yes.
Right. Never happened.
Uncategorically denies. I mean, this is the old Chris Rock. Wasn't me.
Right, exactly.
Wasn't me.
Well, hey, we just had a guy who, pled guilty to lying to the FBI and lying to the vice president, and he walked. So,
Dr. Spalding and Dr. Spatafor really do care
and
about helping
it's the
people.
times we
and
live
we're
in.
so glad
Doesn't
they
matter.
helped us.
They're excited.
Video.
We share in that excitement. It makes us feel great about what we do.
Let me know when we're a minute, Gerald.
From Community Eye Center. My partner, Dr. Spatafor, and I want to
It's a minute now.
Okay, perfect.
The coronavirus.
Don't be a spreader.
Don't be a spreader. I just keep thinking about spreading fertilizer. I just keep thinking about those machines every time he says it.
Hang on here, Pat. Something's not right. You there?
Hello.
There we go. For some reason, my cord didn't work. I got you. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. Good to hear your voice, Mark.
Well, so much for the whole non-conference games first theory.
Yeah, tell the professor he had
GMs
shitty
are not real
information.
happy about it. We can talk about all the things that might go backwards now.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Absolutely.
For over 40 years, we've been
It's,
doing business right.
they're acting like they know for sure the season's opening. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and you're going to have to say, well, I don't know. Yeah, because none of us know. I know one GM said, my owner asked me what I wanted, and I told him, get the non-conference games up front. And he goes, they didn't do it. Now we'll see where this goes.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
27 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Pat Kerwin is kind enough to still be joining us twice a week. I think it's because, well, he's a little more bored than usual. He's not playing as much golf as he normally is. Pat joining us once again on the Goldberg, New and Abraham Law Firm Hotline. And Pat's weekly appearances are brought to you by Pinchers. Pinchers with numerous locations throughout Southwest Florida. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. You going to be hitting the links anytime soon?
Yeah, right after we get done talking.
Say hi to my guys down in the barn. That's all I ask.
I first off, they're listening now, so when I get over there, they will have a critique of what just happened. So
Yep.
I'm on my best behavior.
Yep, it's always on in the TV in the cart room back there. They put us on every morning. Big fans of the West Bay Cart Barn guy. Probably the best players. If we had Cart Barn tournaments, their staff, probably the best players in Southwest Florida. Pat, obviously the schedule out last night. I mean, 7 hours of television to release a schedule between two networks. I guess the one thing that we thought was going to happen, we had heard they were going to try to jam non-conference games first. And when things started being leaked, we found out very quickly that wasn't the case. How did that sit with the people that you converse with all the time?
Well, one general manager that I talk to once a week or so, I asked him how he felt before the schedule came out. And he said, my owner asked me, what do you want from the schedule? And it was a while ago. And he said, I want the non-conference games early. So if this schedule gets blown up, we all get to play the same teams in the conference. And he obviously didn't get his way. But the league's operating like they know for sure it's going to start, and it's going to start on time. And they don't really know that, because every time they say anything, it always has that comma. Of course, the local government will decide if we're doing this. So I think they've tried to paint optimism. They've done a good job of creating that illusion, but it's all based on what? That they're going to have testing. You know what they never bring up, which I want to hear? What are they going to do when someone tests failure and it's the Saturday before the game and his name is Brady? Well, they're going to play the game anyway. So there's a lot of hope based on testing, and there's a lot of hope based on states opening. I don't know where the level playing field's going. So it's got some issues that they can't solve, and they'd have no idea what's going to happen. But they've painted a couple of pictures of flexibility that I guess will be fine if you had to miss 1 week. But if you had to miss 4 weeks, well, I don't know where it's going to go. But coaches, I say this all the time, coaches didn't watch the show last night. The only ones who watched were the ones that were signed to be on TV. The rest of them care about who the opener is, and then they care about how many times your schedule's upside down with Sunday night games, Thursday night games. That stuff they care about. but not immediately. They are really just going to start getting ready for the opener. So, you know, my boys at CBS, the only thing I do with the schedule, I didn't watch 1 second of it last night, is, well, how many times is CBS going to miss their best teams? And when you start looking at Kansas City with Sunday night and Thursday night, and everything else, and the Patriots, the Raiders, the Ravens, and the Steelers, you know, CBS can't afford to lose many of them because they don't have the marquee teams. And I'm not crying about it, but it happens every year. But it seems like they got hit pretty hard this time. Plus, they lost Brady, who was the mainstay of the CBS world. You lose Brady, and then you get all these other teams assigned to a lot of nationally televised games not on CBS. So it'll hurt them a bit when they start looking at their full schedule.
And that's part of the reason why a couple of what otherwise would be marquee Fox games, one involving the Cowboys, the other involving, I believe, the Packers, end up being CBS games throughout midway through the season. So there'll be a couple of times this year in which you think a game is actually on Fox. It's going to be on CBS. It's what Pat just explained. Both networks are getting hit pretty hard between, you know, Thursday night and Sunday night and Monday night. And when you add an extra game and week to the schedule next year, it'll get even more diluted. Are you surprised that they kept the Patriots in prime time as much as they did? They got the maximum number of games, 5. Don't you think this will be interesting to see how much of the Patriots brand is tied into the quarterback?
Absolutely. I was shocked by it, but I didn't anticipate them getting 5 major games like that without Brady. And I didn't think the Rams deserved them either. No offense to the Rams. They're showing off the stadium. But the first thing I wrote down when I looked at that was, where's Seattle? You know, there's a team that seems to be in the playoffs a lot. How come they're not getting 5 of them? And I looked at them. I said, yeah, we all understand the Bucks, and Dallas gets them no matter whether they're good or bad. Baltimore, understandable. Where are the Steelers 5 times? Are they going to get 5 of them? No. So those kind of things, to me, I think are a little short-sighted. Teams that are going to be really good, as always. Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger. Okay, that's to you, David. Is the Ben Roethlisberger returning story bigger than what's left of the Patriots?
It probably should be, and it's not being talked about much at all.
No, and the Steelers almost made the playoffs last year without Ben basically for the whole year. And who did they play with? They played with a 3rd-round pick and no experience and a tryout player who had a winning record, I think, at 5-3. So to put Ben back in the equation, to me, and their audience is national. Like, you go anywhere to any time Pittsburgh's going to play, and they're going to have a mob scene. So I kind of thought they'd get 5 with Ben coming back and how well they played considering what they had to deal with last year. So, you know, I don't really care at the end because I got to watch every game played. We're going to talk about them twice a week. But I said, where's Seattle when I looked at the Patriots and the Rams? And then, of course, where's the Steelers? Those are my 2 questions about it. But, you know, for the CBS guys, having Pittsburgh a lot's a good thing.
And, Pat, just on the Steelers, we've talked a little Cam Newton today. Cam yesterday said finally that there's the possibility he would not, you know, he would entertain the right situation to be a backup. Well, to David and I, that's Pittsburgh. Where is it to you?
Well, it doesn't matter where it is to me. I know where it is to the Steelers, unless they change their mind. They have no intention of doing that. They've been clear. They like their situation, and in the old days, they always would pick up this kind of guy. But why didn't they pick up Mariota when he was available? Because that was right in their profile from the old days. But they didn't do that. So I look at them and go, they keep telling me, and they don't like lying. They really tell you the truth all the time. They're not a team that's creating an illusion, and they have been pretty clear they like their guys. So when you look at Hodges and Rudolph, here's what they like. Okay, now they had to play them, and they got all that out of their system that they had no experience. And as a tandem, those two guys went 9-7. And that's what they're looking at. And they're looking at all the playing experience they got. Mason Rudolph doesn't lose a fumble. So he was 4-1 at home, 2-2 in the division. Hodges, I brought this up to every GM I talked to in the last 10 days. I said, are you going to miss the college free agent tryouts at the minicamp? And when I asked Kevin Colbert, he goes, absolutely. That's where we found Hodges. We never signed him coming off the draft. We brought him in as an invite to camp, and the rest was history. So they're not going to do it. No, I don't think they're going to keep Paxton Lynch or J.T. Barrett, but they're the only team with 5 quarterbacks that have some kind of credential with their name. And we have 2 teams with just 2 quarterbacks on the roster, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think, look, let me say this about Cam. Cam, you got to have an appetite for Cam. Cam is not your normal quarterback walking into your building. We know the profile that comes with him. We know how he handles himself. I like Cam, and I wish he was on the Patriots probably, but I'll ask you two. Does he look like a Steeler guy to you?
Yeah, the Steelers also signed Mike Vick. So I actually, but Pat, you know how it is. Once a guy puts on a certain team's uniform, people almost start to rewrite what it is they thought of him beforehand. I mean, did Corey Dillon seem like a Patriot when he was in Cincinnati? And he was great as a Patriot, and he wasn't a problem at all. So I just don't see, if you're Pittsburgh and you got some key guys who are older on that team, they need to win here. Okay, they got 2 more years with Ben. All right, and if Ben gets hurt again, you need a backup quarterback that can get you through that 3-week injury. And boy, they're putting a lot of faith in a couple of guys who last year were shaky as blank. And quite frankly, the reason they won games was because of that defense.
That sounds great, and I believe half of that, but I don't believe all of it. Mason Rudolph averaged over 20 points a game, and he had 0 experience. And I'm just representing the Steelers here, not me. My attitude on backup quarterbacks is get the best one you can find. And I'm doing a series for the last week or so and another week next week, how horrendous most of the backup quarterback situations are in the National Football League. I mean, absolutely brutal. But they like Mason Rudolph. Remember, they got rid of Dobbs because they liked Rudolph before he ever played a game. Then all of a sudden he had to play. 5-3 as a starter. More touchdowns than interceptions. You ran his numbers out for a whole year. Let's say he played all 16. You're talking about a guy that's going to throw 26 touchdowns, and they're going to be happy with that. That's how the Steelers think. And so I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, we can keep talking until we convince ourselves they are going to do it. We all think they should, but you keep asking me if they're going to, and my answer is no, they're not going to do it.
So then where? Where's Cam Newton going to play, or is this what everybody's talking about? He's not until someone gets injured.
Well, first off, they don't know how healthy he is. So any little video you see of him throwing a football hasn't convinced the general managers around the league that he's 100% healthy. So getting him healthy is part of it. Hey, I'll take it back to Dalton. I talked to Stephen Jones yesterday, and Stephen Jones, we're talking. He goes, hey, Andy lives in my neighborhood, and he always wanted to come home. Okay, but then Andy said he'd like to be a starter again. Well, he picked a place where he ain't going to be the starter. And so, to me, Cam hasn't been talking about. I sat with Cam at the Super Bowl. He definitely thinks he is a starter. He might, if he's smart, wait now for an injury, because that's his best opportunity to be the starter. Why pigeonhole yourself into a backup role now? And then I had a player one time, Webster Slaughter. Remember old Webster Slaughter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Webster Slaughter, I signed it because I couldn't get Keyshawn in camp. I signed Webster Slaughter, real cheap deal. 4 days after he signed with us, 2 receivers went down for the Dolphins, starters. He came in my office with tears in his eyes, begging me to let him out of the contract. And I said, you should have waited. But you didn't want to wait, so you're not leaving.
I'm just going to throw this team out there, and then we can move on. You're just talking about teams that don't have a good backup situation, and a team that I think needs to win this year. I'm just going to throw Atlanta out there. Just if lingering, if a job doesn't open up in a place where maybe that late in the game they can kind of bring them in. I don't know that Atlanta's got a good situation behind Matt Ryan. Just kind of throwing that out there.
Well, I think that's good insight. So let me ask you this question. I'll go the other way with just something for you to think about. So let's say Brady gets hurt in the first game of the year and they got 5 nationally televised games. You think they should go with their backup, or do you think they should go get Cam?
Cam. I mean, it's obvious.
Right. That's why Cam shouldn't sign anywhere until something opens up.
And you could say that for a bunch of teams. I mean, there are probably 5 or 6 teams easily.
Do you see what's in Seattle after Russell Wilson?
We've been saying Seattle for a while.
Anthony Gordon's the only other guy on the roster.
And
Zero experience.
And Pete doesn't. I mean, you've said it all along. He doesn't care about the personality side of thing. He'll bring if they can play. It doesn't bother him.
Well, the three of us know Pete. If they ever signed Cam would walk into the room with the cameras on, and Pete would walk in one of Cam's outfits. We both know how that
right, exactly. And they might be bringing Marshawn Lynch back. Okay, Marshawn might even be part of the presser as well, and he doesn't normally talk to them. We're talking with Pat Kerwin, of course, joining us on the Goldberg New and Abraham Law Firm Hotline. Pat's weekly appearance is brought to us courtesy of Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. I mentioned Seattle. Clowney played there last year. What are you hearing? Apparently it's done in Seattle. They're not interested anymore with what he's asking. We keep going back to the Browns. Seems like a natural. What are you hearing about Clowney?
Well, he's prepared to prove he's healthy. So that's always step one. That will get more ears into the conversation. Well, now we're listening to him because we think he's healthy. Verifying health has been a problem for a lot of guys. But if he's healthy, and a lot of guys are starting to think he is, and if his price comes down, he's going to land up in a 1-year deal. If he truly wants a 4 or 5 year deal and $100 million, I think he blew it. I think he's at that point where he's going to have to take another 1 and risk injury again in order to get to a major deal. And he ought to go get himself 10 sacks. If he comes back on a 1 and has 10 sacks, he'll get his 5-year deal. But I think he's kind of pigeonholed himself into another 1 because he won't take the 5-year deal that averages $13 million. He won't do it. So I think he's going to land up in a 1, which puts Seattle back into the card game, if you will. But I don't know where he's going to go, but I feel pretty comfortable that he's blown his 5-year deal opportunity.
Pat, one of the other things that'll happen, because we don't know if we're playing college ball. How are NFL scouts? You talk to scouts. How are they starting to? Are they already starting to prepare for if college football starts late and how that's going to impact them? I mean, there's so many gray areas for the organization side of football right now that I can't imagine how front offices are dealing with this.
Well, the scouts don't coach. This is not to you, it's to your listeners. So they'll go when the season starts. If it starts at all, they'll go and they'll be working. And, it could be a crunch time. There could be a spring football college deal. And then all of a sudden the draft's going to be on top of that. And but the scouts, that's all they do for a living is scout. And whenever scouting starts, they'll do it. Excuse me. In preparation for it, they've already started preparing for that draft last year because they knew the guys that were good. The scouting services can come out right now and tell you the top 200 players. They might be off by 20, but they know who they are. So my cross-checker who helps me, who's quite good, I already gave him all the film. He tried to return all my films to me, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, the draft's over." I go, "Yeah, but there's a chance we're going to have to draft next year's class off these tapes if they cancel college football. So you can start now if you want." And he started laughing, and he's already working on it because there's a chance that those are going to be the only tapes we have on those guys. I don't think that's true, but you bring up the scout. What's the scout doing at home? He ain't taking a month off here. He's watching all those things, and he's probably already been told to start submitting more tapes grades on every guy. And I'm sure they're doing that. But it's going to be hairy as always. But the NFL apparently can plow through a lot of things. Here's what I wanted to ask you guys. I keep hearing, we'll have testing. Yeah, okay. What are we going to do when people fail the test? What are we going to do at the gates of the stadium if we have testing when they're entering? What if you fail the test? Out to the parking lot? How are they going to handle tailgates? Who's going to supervise that? Police forces around this country are starting to refuse to arrest people that are breaking those rules. So I think there's a lot of people management, including players and coaches, that no one's discussing how they're going to handle it. Are we going to have forfeits?
And Pat, that's the one question David and I have asked since this has all started. Great. We're going to start playing again. What do we do when someone tests positive? Because they're going to. We know that's going to happen.
Pat, I think there's only one answer, quite frankly. Somebody tests positive, we pull them out of the group, we quarantine them for 14 days, we test everyone else, and they go and they play. I don't see how there's another alternative because they are not going to shut the whole team down for 2 weeks. All right. They're not.
So what happened to quarantine? I'm asking a question. So you failed the test, but it's clear that you, me, and Mark are together for that whole week. Are we subjected to quarantine as well?
No. My guess is you won't be until you test positive.
Okay. So here's what a fan called in yesterday, furious. Answer this one. I know the answer, but I just want you to hear what fans are saying on my show. He said, I'm a Giant fan. If on opening day we play the Cowboys in our stadium and no one's there because the stadium's not open yet, and we play in front of no one, so we have no home field advantage, but 2 months later we go to Dallas and it's packed, I'm going to be out of my mind mad. Well, they're not going to empty their stadium out because of you, but here's how fans are thinking. The competitive advantage of home is not going to be a level playing field, and they're not happy about that.
Pat, I could say to that fan, first off, life's not fair. Secondly, it's a worldwide pandemic. We're doing the best we can. And third, quite frankly, home field advantage is not nearly what it was. In fact, road teams have been winning games for a long time at a high rate.
Good. I gave him your phone number. He's going to call you today, so be ready.
Just give them the show number. We'll have them on the 8 o'clock hour on Monday. I mean, we've got the time.
Yesterday, who supervises big projects, and he said to me, "I really, this is what I do for a living. I'll just share with you the rules I'm subjected to, and I know exactly how this is going to go if they follow the rules." He said, "A stadium like Giant Stadium." I said, well, tell me about Giant Stadium. He goes, I don't know the place. What does it hold? I said, I think it's 75,000. He goes, if they followed the rules the way they are set up and the way I have to live by them, they could get no more than 35,000 people in that stadium, probably 25,000 if you're following all the rules.
Well, and Pat, we're pressed for time, but the Dolphins earlier this week had released their plan in which they think following those rules in their 65,000 seat stadium, they can get 15,000 people.
Correct. So that's what we're up against. I hope you have the season tickets that are going to be valid. Anyway, that guy's calling you today, David. Be ready.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Pat.
Hit him straight,
right.
Pat.
Yeah.
See you, boys.
Hope the other group's got a ringer, Pat. Thanks. Pat Kerwin. NFL radio, weekday afternoons.
I gave him your number.
Yep, I gave him your
There's
number.
only an 85% chance that that's false. I mean, there's at least a 1 in 10 that he would do that to you.
Oh, easily.
Because I don't know how often you text him with obscure sports questions in the middle of the day.
I text him in the middle of a show and go, you're wrong. So I know he would do it.
Oh, then he should. Because the only thing I've ever texted Pat during a show is I've listened to a couple interviews that I've really enjoyed. And I went, well, that was a good interview, Pat. That's the only thing I ever text. If I text, you tell him he's wrong.
Part of my charm, Mark. Part of my charm. Miller and Moulton. The good, the better, and the best very quickly when we come back here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program. This is the Dan Patrick Show.
Give him your number.
Lynch,
I gave him your number.
Comes out and says, yeah, we had some interest in Tom Brady. A conversation. Who does that benefit? John was in the media. He knows how this works. Are you trying to get Jimmy Garoppolo to play better?
Mark, we've talked about this. We don't even know if home teams have winning records anymore. I mean,
The Dan Patrick Show.
road teams do just fine.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
And in the NFL, I mean, where do we think, Tim Meister, owner of the off the top of your head, where do you feel that, wow, they've got a home field advantage?
Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Kansas City.
Kansas City, Buffalo the second half of the season a little bit.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a call if they're good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Saints have a home field advantage. That's a college field.
I understand, although if you think about it, in the last 2 years, been knocked out of the playoffs at home the last 2 years. San Francisco went in there and beat them in a big regular season game last year. It's a term difference,
I know.
Frankly.
No. I mean,
but yes, they do well there.
They have a home field advantage. I mean, they have an advantage.
I would agree.
Like, I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have all that much of an advantage, and that's a great, loud stadium. Watch Joe Flacco go 92 yards at night on the road. Sorry.
That's floormeisters.com.
This is Brian Creel.
I think the Packers have an advantage. They play much better at home.
Yes.
They do.
I mean, I think most dome teams have an advantage at home because they're used to the elements, but I don't necessarily think it's a home field. Like, Dallas doesn't have any advantage at home.
Not at all.
I actually I said to Eve, I said, hey, for what it's worth, and I think it might be a Sunday night game, but Pittsburgh plays at Dallas. I said, if I could, I'll may ask David if Troy can get him, I'll pay. But because I'd like to see a game there. I've never, that would be fun to go to a game there. For me, like of all the stadiums,
Well, if you guys want to go, I mean, let me know because he obviously could get tickets.
Right. Well, we actually talked about it for a half a second last night. I got to start working full time again before I start planning vacations.
Hey, I was just going to let you work that out. But
Want to see more?
I planned like
optimism.
I planned like 4 yesterday, and I don't know how the hell I'm doing it because I don't have any money.
I just appreciate the optimism.
I'm very optimistic. I'm convinced I'm going to North Carolina for my vacation in August.
What week is that?
Very first week of August.
Well, we may be taking. If my two amateur tournaments, because the two amateur tournaments are the second and third weeks of August, week of the 9th and 16th. So we could be taking that month off, or we could be taking those 3 weeks off, which actually wouldn't be bad, and then gear up for what could be the long. I mean, if you think about it, we're not going to take it. I mean, we took
taking 1 day off this year.
We took President's Day off.
Yeah,
right?
taking 1 day off this year.
And there's a good chance.
And we're making $4 an hour tops.
And there's a good chance that we may not take another day off outside of July 4th till August.
And I have no idea why. I mean, I'm being really honest with the people that are in this Twitch thing. We have to do about 200 shows a year per our contract. Like, we have like 5-6 weeks off. We haven't come close to taking it. And my goal for this year was to take every effing day off that we could. Because we're not, this is not profitable for Miller and Moulton. But we love it. I mean, at the end of the day, we do this more out of love than money. Make no mistake, because there's not a hell of a lot of money in it. And yet we are working more. What the hell is going on? How did I morph into you?
Don't blame me. Whatever you do, don't blame me. You're up next, by the way.
Waffle House is closed, and Mark Miller has a positive attitude.
Let's pump the brakes there.
With that being said, here's our brand new bright and shiny segment. Mark Miller's the good, the better, and the best. Man, I hope we get back to normal fast. This is weird.
You're live.
Tell you what, after that break, this feels like it should be a good, bad, and ugly. But I'm gonna regroup. I'm gonna regroup. And
Hey, at least you don't have Pat's callers calling you today like I do. Go.
We go to a bakery in Red Wing, Minnesota. For the class of 2020, seniors aren't getting what they normally do. So Bill Hanisch of the Hanisch Bakery decided to bake 7-inch cake for every graduating senior at Red Wing High School, as he said, to bring a little happiness to their lives. Now there are 10 schools using the cakes for graduation, so it's even turned into something for him probably to get a little bit of money. A group of moms in Maryland make our way to the better because they have started their own, they turned an Airbnb into a food pantry. Diana Love and Amy Marshall were motivated to help. They turned a vacant rental property in Annapolis and used it as a pop-up pantry. They gathered donations from diapers to baby clothes, books, and foods, and they make weekly deliveries to families in need. And finally, the best, we go to California, where a teenager with autism and a single mom received a wonderful gift from the owners of a McDonald's franchise. Francine Munden's 18-year-old son, Logan, loves Mickey D's, especially their chocolate chip cookies. And when they stopped selling them recently, she reached out to the head office to see when they would be back. He has them every day, and it's hard for him not to handle it. So the franchisee owned multiple restaurants, sent a bunch of cookies to take care of the 18-year-old boy with autism. Yeah, it is awesome. And that is the good, the better, and the best on today, May the 8th.
1 minute.
In the longest year of my life.
Of a lot of our lives so far. No question about it. I hope that this, there's a lot of good that is emerging from a lot of people through all this. I do think that our humanity as a nation is actually, and obviously there's been some ugly incidents, of course, but I do think there's been a lot of humanity that's been shown here in the last 8 weeks. I hope that can continue.
That's what I was going to say. Let's just hope, like a lot of these things, that when we're back to whatever normal is, that we remember our generosity because it's made us better. Miller and Moulton, have a tremendous weekend. We'll be back on Monday, even with what I said on Twitch. I promise. We'll be back on Monday. Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio. Twitchers, have a good weekend. We'll see you all on Monday. Jiro, thank you for everything. Great job this week as always, my friend.